Hello iRacers and welcome to our weekly highlight show, GridVision Weekly. Today we're going to cover last Friday night's NIS Open action from the Daytona International Speedway. Don't forget to like and subscribe below, as well as consider donating to our Patreon. When you donate, your paint scheme will be featured on our final race results if you manage to finish within the top 12. Let's jump right into the action from Daytona. We're going to kick off the show with the first lead change on lap number 3 as Boyd Hogan gets a huge shove from teammate Christopher Hill through turns 3 and 4. Boyd splits Joshua Watson and Jacob Schneider exiting turn number 4 and makes an incredible move for the lead, but fortune would not favor the driver of the number 96 Chevy Camaro. 12 laps later, we see Alan Pajari and Joshua Watson get a huge run on the bottom side of the racetrack. As they come out of turn number 4, Watson gets Pajari a little squirrely and then right hooks him into the outside line, taking out heavy favorites Boyd Hogan and Justin Levine. We're going to get a second look on this accident as we go into turn number 3 and see the bottom lane go from 4th to challenging for the race lead coming out of turn 4. We see Pajari slide up the track ever so slightly on exit and get tapped in the left rear quarter panel and then the right and sets up a major incident. But look at the number 30 Ryco Performance Machine of Daniel Nanny squeeze through the middle unscathed. Let's jump to the final lap entering turn 3 as we watch Joseph Square get a good push entering the final set of corners from teammate Sean Conklin, but Tessier gets a better run on the outside. Joseph throws a block on the outside train to try to win the race, but Chris Pfeffer in the Taylor Swift mobile gets into the back of Tessier as he moves to avoid Joseph and wipes out the leaders. Pfeffer scoots by on the outside, throws a block on Daniel Nanny, and comes to the line to win the NIS Open race from Daytona. We're going to listen into an excerpt from the post-race interview where race winner Chris Pfeffer calls out the team that has dominated NIS through the year.
Yeah, it sucked to get dumped there by another shop guy, but, you know, it is what it is.
Definitely a crazy race out there. I mean, what was your thought process the whole race? I mean, was it what was the preparation? What was the game plan?
Oh, I signed up to make sure I beat Ryco. Yeah, pretty much it. And I beat Ryco, so hell yeah.
Week 26 of 36 of the NIS Open season did not disappoint as we had an SOF of 5,304. Chris Pfeffer, Daniel Nanny, and Brad Newman round out your podium at Daytona. 4th place, Sean Conklin. 5th, Connor Trafari. 6th, Maggie McGuire. The Butcher Lamb Purdy brings it home in 7th. 8th, Shane Davis. 9th, Matt Hollabaugh. 10th place was Christopher Hill. 11th, John Whitendorf. And 12th, Mason Tessier. Be sure to tune in next week as we head to Darlington Raceway. We're going to take a look at our point standings following race number 26 of the NIS season. Chris Wilhite inherits the points lead from Garrett Maines with 10 races remaining in the NIS season. Joshua Watson might have fallen too far back in the points to challenge for the championship as Nicholas Vroman is hot on the trail of our two leaders. Here's a look at the rest of the top 20 in standings. All stats are provided by simracerhub.com.
Hello and welcome to GridVision. We're excited to be here this Friday night for NIS competition, the eNASCAR iRacing Series at Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame. Of course, this is my home track, so I'm definitely excited to be here. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I'm joined in the booth by my co-commentator, Austin Edstrom. And of course, down behind the cameras is Austin Darbyshire. How are you doing tonight, Austin?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just about as excited as you are to get to the Lady in Black, too tough to tame, Darlington. I mean, what an amazing racetrack. Super abrasive, ready to see some people, comers and goers, a lot of tire wear, so I'm excited to see, who handles that the best throughout the course of tonight.
Yeah, and of course, we've also heard a lot of open series racing this week. Has been quite caution-filled, which is, I think, a little bit unusual for the Lady in Black, considering the apron is so large and the racing groove is so small. So a lot of drivers are going to be very a little bit too close for comfort, I'd say. But I think we should probably look at the schedule for the coming week while we have a moment. Of course, going to be a busy schedule. We have a lot of stuff kind of packed in here this next week. Of course, Tuesday we're off. Not going to have any Champion Power Equipment Truck Series competition, but Wednesday we're going to be at Michigan for what I do believe is the second to last race there in the Thunderclamp iRacing Series schedule. And that's going to be exciting. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Justin Prince will be on the call for that one. Of course, Friday, back with some more NIS competition at Kansas Speedway, a very unique mile and a half. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Of course, 9 p.m. Eastern, as well as the Major Series Pro Trucks at, I do believe, Crampton. So that's going to be an interesting one. Have never called a race in the pro truck, so that's going to be some off-road action there. Make sure you tune in. Of course, Sunday, we got a doubleheader. It's going to be 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be the Global Racing Truck Series at Kansas. And then I do believe we're going to be starting out with some racing action with the RGR Racing at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Their first, I think, last race as well in their Cup Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So that's going to be some high-octane action there for sure. So definitely a big week of some new faces as well. I can't wait to see what that's going to be. A lot of new next week, as I do believe we have the running order here set for the race here tonight. That's going to feature Nicholas Vroman with the pulpit. Of course, second place is going to be Daniel Nanny. John Conklin's going to be starting in third place. Paul Bergoli starts fourth. Robert Miller in fifth place. Chris Wilhite, sixth place. Cody Richardson in seventh. Eighth place, Matt White. Ninth, Richard Garcia. And 10th, Joshua Watson.
11th, it's Ryan Carwile. 12th place, David Grantham. 13th, Jason Wallet. 14th, Lawrence Shaughnessy Jr. 15th, Adam Matz. 16th is Jonathan Oshelin. 17th is Tyler Marble. 18th, Jose Acosta. 19th, Matt Hollabaugh. And 20th, Miller Bonds.
Brian Young in 21st. Justin Levine, our own GridVision driver, in 22nd. Of course, 23rd, Louis Salzmo. 24th, Michael McLean. 25th, Jacob Klein. 26th, Brandon Schmidt. 27th, Maggie McGuire. 28th, Brandon Sox. 29th, Ty Ippolito. And 30th, Alan Pajari. Of course, rounding out this 35-car field is Ronnie Kuritz, Drew Blaze, Joshua, I do believe, Junsoon Jusa Lim, and Michael Battiston and Hunter Wofford. That is the last 5 race cars that are going to be gridding up here. But quite a field, and I love this camera angle of us going down this grid. I mean, get to really showcase all the paint schemes.
A lot of good ones in the field tonight, that's for sure. But I think they're going to be a little beat up by the end of this one. I think we're going to see a lot of people hitting the wall in the middle of turns 1 and 2. A lot of people pancaking the wall coming out of turn number 2. And a lot of, 3 and 4 is really, really slow. But, man, you can really misjudge the entry of that corner and just get in way too hot. Really pound the fence down in turn 3. So there's a lot of areas here that it's just so sketchy. And so many people hit the wall and make mistakes. So I really would not be surprised to see a couple of those. But I also think that I'm going to regret saying this, but I feel like some people are going to take it easy here at the beginning. Obviously, you got to save tires. It's very important to save tires here. So hopefully we can see it spread out a little bit and see the comers and goers go and get these laps logged off, because it is a long 184-lap race here tonight, 250-mile event. So hopefully everybody can keep their noses clean here at the beginning. We don't get too many cautions. It's a tough track to tame, as we've, it's adequately named, too tough to tame. So I think that we're going to get a good showing here, though, and we'll end up getting at least one really long green flag run.
I hope so. I know we have, of course, 87-degree track temp. These guys have 6 sets of tires down in the pits to play with, which is, kind of a lot, surprisingly. But they're going to use them, I have a feeling, just considering how much the tire wear is at this racetrack. Of course, fuel window is about 75 laps, but I don't think anyone's really going to make it to that length, just considering the tire wear. So we see the pace car dip down pit road as we get ready to enter that Geico restart zone at the Lady in Black, my home track. Going to be excited to see who's going to survive this gauntlet of a race. Green flag is out for the first time. Very good start there for Nicholas Roman, but another good start as well for Daniel Nanny up on the top side. Now, this is the kind of chicken game that these guys are going to be playing here in 1 and 2. You do not want to really be side by side going through 1 and 2.
No, but you really can't help it on the restart. Somebody's got to be stuck on the outside somewhere, but everybody gets through turns 1 and 2 pretty clean. No big accidents at the back. We do see some just about 3-wide racing way in the back, but Nicholas Roman just getting a little nice lead on Daniel Nanny here, coming through 3 and 4, and they're side by side for third. That's Sean Conklin looking on the inside there of, I believe that's Robert Miller in the Logitech Gaming car on the outside. He's actually going to take third place away from Sean Conklin going down into turn number 1.
Very awesome move there for Robert Miller. Was able to really make the high side work there in 3 and 4. Now, that's kind of a thing that we're going to see a lot here at this racetrack. If you can get that top side in 3 and 4 and you get the straight run off of 4, you're going to be able to have somewhat of an advantage there, because that's kind of the traditional line. As you see Paul Bergoli as well, he goes really high. As I think we're seeing a battle for between Miller Bonds, and I'm not mistaken, I think that's Tyler Marble.
Yeah, you mentioned the outside can be an advantage coming off of turn number 4, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because you get such a burst of speed but you're also really using a lot more of the tire on the outside. So I think especially early in the runs, in 3 and 4, you're going to see a lot of these guys slow up their machines, getting down into turn number 3, and really utilizing that bottom line as there's actually a battle for second. Oh, man, second place, Daniel Nanny gets turned. Oh, man, what a save from Daniel Nanny in second place. Robert Miller just spun him around going into turn number 3, and Daniel Nanny's able to hold on to it. He was about 60 degrees sideways entering the corner. He's going to absolutely kill his tires. He's going to fall back to about 4th place, but what an amazing save going off into the corner.
Yeah, I'm surprised he kept that together without really hitting the wall very hard, and that has really backed up the field. We see Joshua Watson kind of all deep up in the Hornets nest, as well as so Matt White, Cody Richardson. These guys are all kind of all on top of each other at the moment, and that was definitely a very, very scary moment. I don't think it's over yet. I think we could possibly see something still go wrong, as we see, I do believe, Lawrence Shaughnessy side by side with David Grantham there. Of course, the big winner in that whole exchange was Chris Wilhite. He drove up to 3rd because of that.
Yeah, Chris Wilhite was able to jump a couple spots. Sean Conklin was able to jump a couple spots. He went from 4th to 2nd. So really good job by a couple of these guys getting by that and actually not losing touch of the leader too much. Sean Conklin's just about on his bumpers. We're actually going to look at a replay here. This is going to be Robert Miller tagging Daniel Nanny going down into the corner. Let's get a good look at what happens. Robert Miller looking low, going into the corner. Honestly, that kind of looked like netcode to me because I don't think Daniel Nanny came down. And yeah, I actually don't think that there was really any fault there. I'm going to have to go back on my own view here and just kind of get confirmation, but that looked like a netcode incident to me.
And it could very well have been. The air between those two drivers definitely just reacting a little bit poorly there. And unfortunately, a lot of times with a track like this, there's not, I kind of mentioned it briefly, there's barely room for double file racing at this racetrack as it is. So I feel like that's kind of what led to that. Let's take another look from a little bit of a different angle, more of a chopper camera, as you see Robert Miller to the inside. Now, I think there was a little bit of contact there. I think that Miller got to the inside, and I think that was just good hard racing. There's just not a lot of room at this racetrack, and the proper traditional line at this track is you use the whole track.
Yeah, and Nanny hadn't turned into the corner yet, so I'm willing to put all the blame there on Robert Miller. He just kind of squeezed him too tight going down into the corner, if I'm being serious. That's why I was just so confused, because Nanny didn't move at all, and it's just weird for Robert Miller to make a mistake of driving into somebody like that. So that's why I was really confused and thought it was netcode, but honestly, I think I'd have to put more of that on Robert. But like you said, just racing incident, going down to the corner, both people fighting for the same piece of real estate. But you would maybe expect to give a little bit more room here going into turn 3 on, what was it, lap number 3? So I'm kind of surprised to see that aggressive of a move this early.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're seeing a lot of aggressive battling. I do believe that is Lawrence Shaughnessy back there in 12th place battling as well. We see Justin Levine. He's trying to drive his way through the field. He's sitting in that 15th place position. So we're seeing some side-by-side battling. Also back up to Robert Miller. He's trying to challenge Paul Bergoli at the moment. So that is a battle for 5th place, trying to recover. Robert Miller, of course, was up in the top 3. He lost more than I think Daniel Nanny did in that whole exchange.
Yeah, he did. He really backed off just to make sure he didn't get involved or make it a bigger incident than what it really was. So, good job from him to end up not, making it worse than what it was. But I got to think Daniel Nanny, he's driven back up, getting closer to the 3rd place driver, but I got to think that absolutely murdered his rear tires, and he's really going to have to, he's really going to start struggling here around like lap 25 or 30. If I had to bet, just off the rear tires alone, if we get that far in this run, that was a pretty hefty slide. I saw smoke coming out of those tires on 2 separate occasions in the middle of that slide. So if I'm Daniel Nanny, I'm probably a little worried and just trying to hope and pray, just hold on to your track position and hope and pray that a caution comes out around the 20 lap mark, just to make sure that everybody has to come down and get tires, because if a run goes 20 laps, I think everybody's going to take tires with 6 sets laying in the pits.
Being a big move here, though, from Justin Levine. He was, last time we looked at him, he was up in 15th. Now he's in 13th, so he is continuing to drive through the field here. I'm loving to see what we're seeing here from this GridVision machine. Of course, right behind him, we're seeing a big battle. Miller Bond, I do believe, fighting with Jason Wallet. That is for the 16th position. That is a side-by-side battle. Looks like Bonds is going to come out on top there.
Yeah, good battling all throughout the field. So we actually missed a little bit going on up front. Sean Conklin was looking to the inside of Nicholas Vroman there going into turn number 3, and Vroman just cut his nose off hard going into the corner, made Sean back out. Really hard racing between teammates here on lap number 11. Now we're on lap 12 going through turns 1 and 2. Conklin got a really good run here last time. He's going to get just about all the way up to the bumper of Nicholas Vroman, but I think he's a little bit too far back here to actually make some crazy kind of dive bomb move, and he's just going to hold serve in 2nd place.
And they're turning some really fast laps right now. 29.7s for those top 2 drivers. Everybody else is pretty much hovering around the 29, 9 or something like that. So these guys are really turning some fast laps. I don't know if I really like them driving it so hard right now. I think Conklin might have saved the first two sets, or first 10 laps. I think he was saving a little bit, so he seems like he's got a pretty good race car, but we're seeing a lot of battling further back. Oh, look at there. There's someone going around. I do believe that is the 22, and caution flag is going to come out as a result of this accident.
We should definitely start that replay a little bit earlier between Lawrence Shaughnessy and Justin Levine. If we can start that a little bit earlier. It kind of started a little bit further up, and the back of the pack of the field just got checked up. So if we can go down into, as they're going into turn one, look at Justin Levine or Lawrence Shaughnessy's on board, and then switch it after the middle of the corner, because I believe this is coming out of the previous lap. We see Justin Levine gets the inside of Shaughnessy here. Yeah, that's the back stretch, so we're going to have a whole lap here of replay. Justin Levine looked to the inside of Shaughnessy, actually clears him in the middle of the corner, but Shaughnessy fights hard back on the outside. We're going to see them go side by side all the way down the front stretch as they exit pretty even. Nothing really in between them. Justin giving plenty of room going down into turn number one, just trying to make sure it's not too crazy. They both give room here, but as they get into the middle of the corner, Shaughnessy comes down just a little bit and tags Justin in the back, in the right rear, kind of stacks up the rest of the field. And then as they come off at turn number two, well, I guess it wasn't too much of a stack up. The 22 just had his own separate incident where he got tight coming out of the corner, hit the 9, and then Matt Hallabaugh really had nowhere to go, trying to avoid the accident that he was seeing happening right in front of him. And Brian Young unfortunately got spun around, but did not get tagged by anybody. So good job by the rest of the field from not getting into that. And maybe that was the caution that Daniel Nanny needed. We're gonna have to see if anybody comes down pit road.
Looks like a lot of drivers have come down pit road. I think tires is just so important at this racetrack. And of course, you see the 22 of Brian Young, who was involved in that accident. He is, of course, down pit road trying to get some tires on that vehicle as well. I mean, for the most part, the majority of the field has decided, I do believe, to a lot of them at least have decided to come down and maybe take some gas as well as tires. We're seeing some drivers maybe even getting some damage repaired. I don't think a lot of damage was paid out in that, but that was a very close incident that could have paid a lot more damage than I think it did.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mentioned it was maybe the caution Daniel Nanny needed, but he is actually one of them that didn't come down pit road. I believe our back half of the field pitted. Most of the guys in the front half stayed out. So Daniel Nanny not actually pitting for the tires that I thought that he would do. I think Sean Conklin's pretending to pit here now, unless there's no way he actually comes down in the second lap. Yeah, Conklin's kind of pretending to pit, throwing me off a little bit. Gotta love that. But yeah, the front half of the field stayed out. So maybe Nanny's not feeling the tire disadvantage from that slide as much as I would have thought that he would be, because I mean, if I had a slide like that, I feel like I'd come down pit road as soon as I could. But he was serving that fourth place position, doing a good job holding his own after getting spun just about all the way around by Robert Miller there on lap number 3. So pretty good race so far. I know that it sucks to get a caution, in the first 15, but everybody was starting to spread out. Now we're going to have some really big tire disparities that are going to add to a lot of passing throughout the field, because everybody in the top 15, even Nicholas Vroman, right? Nicholas Vroman's one of the most talented drivers on this service, and even him on a 14-lap tire advantage or disadvantage from the guys in 16th, 17th, whoever was the first down pit road. I mean, he's going to be slower than them if they get some clean air. So it'll be really interesting to see if this thing runs green for a while or if we're going to get another quick caution.
No, I think that's a very interesting point. And the differences in the tires is going to be huge. We even could possibly see some wheel spin here, but definitely going to be differences in lap times, and that could cause some more drama out on the racetrack. So I mean, we always hear it, and I think this week has definitely been true that cautions breed cautions. I mean, it's interesting to know. You wouldn't think that cautions would be something you see a lot at this racetrack, but it kind of is. It looks like we're going to be getting back to green. Pace car has dipped down pit road. Nicholas Vroman, field in hand once again. Now, of course, him and Sean Conklin have been racing each other quite hard. What does Conklin do as the green flag is back out? What a start from Vroman. He gets a good launch. Nanny, though, a really good launch as well. I think he got checked up a little bit by Conklin there.
Yeah, Conklin was, if you're the second place guy in a lot of these restarts, you're at a pretty big disadvantage going down the front stretch, just having the leader be able to dictate when to go. But Conklin gets a huge run off of turn number 2, way better than Vroman, gets right to his back bumper entering 3. Vroman's having none of it going down in the corners. We are watching the battle further back in the pack. Now we switch back to the leaders. But Sean Conklin, man, he's got a lot of speed coming out of turn number 2 every single lap. Just naturally, I worry that he's pushing too hard too early. But, man, just the overspeed that he has on Nicholas Vroman coming out of that corner every lap makes me think Sean Conklin has a really good setup under that machine and something that's really working to his liking. So I'm really interested to just kind of see how that car falls off over the run compared to Vroman. Oh, as we see contact in the back, I believe that's Walla into the wall on the outside. Lawrence Shaughnessy taking him to the inside, going into turn number 3. He's going to take that position going down into the corner. No challenge back from the 76 of Wallet. But as soon as I say that, he actually rips it back around the outside, and he's going to have his right rear going down the front stretch. But I think Shaughnessy had just enough of a run going down, coming into turn number 1. He should be able to clear him going in. As we look at a 2-wide battle up front, Joshua Watson's on the inside of Paul Bergoli going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and also Justin Levine, who we saw was involved in a little bit of an incident earlier. He is up to 8th place, right behind these guys. He's going to push Joshua Watson around Paul Bergoli. Can Bergoli respond? We're seeing a lot of battling as well from Richard Garcia. He's been trying to make stuff happen. But, man, I am curious to see how these guys are going to last tire-wise later in this race. This is one of these tracks that, you could have the speed early in a run, but that's not really the priorities. We see Levine loses some pace there in the middle of the corner. I do believe Richard Garcia just cut him a little bit of a break and let him back in line.
Yeah, still early in the race, still seeing a little bit more give than take at this point. So really impressive from the field just to, just try to keep off the guys in front of you. There's going to be a lot of people just kind of fitting in gaps that aren't really there, because it's really, really important to get that outside line going through 1 and 2 if you can single file out, especially in Levine's case last lap, where he was on the bottom and just kind of had to find a hole after he kind of cut Bergoli some slack. He got lucky, and Richard Garcia also gave him some slack. So good, smart racing throughout the field so far in this course of event. And, maybe Garcia saw Levine come from, 21st or something on the starting grid, 22nd on the starting grid, and he's already up to 8th. So maybe he's seeing that and been like, okay, Levine's either super fast or he's absolutely murdering his stuff at this point in the race. You can't really tell until about 30 or 40 laps on tires. So we'll just have to keep an eye on Levine to see exactly how that's working. But he's back to the inside of Bergoli, and he's going to have to give it up once again, and Garcia cuts him another break in the same corner.
Yeah, I almost think that, he was very, very fast, but I think he might have hurt his equipment as well. It seems like he's not able to have maneuverability as he had previously. But Paul Bergoli's definitely been doing a good job of defending against these charges. And I think a lot of these drivers are really just trying to keep their heads down and save that equipment, because they realize that, this is going to be a long race. But look at that, Levine getting another big run. So he's got the speed. I just don't know if he's got right now the maneuverability to make these passes happen. And that's one thing about Darlington. It's so difficult to make these passes. As we see, I do believe a battle Robert Miller, who was up in the top 3 just a little bit ago. I do believe he's battling with Jonathan Oshlam at the moment. That is the battle for 11th.
Yeah, I think Robert Miller is the first car on new tires, and he's coming up through the field. Like you mentioned, he was running about 5th place before that caution flag flew, and he is, now back to 12th. So he definitely took tires on that last start, or on that last caution, and he has definitely been working up the field pretty nicely. So Jonathan kind of cut him a break going down into turn number 3 last time by. I just feel like it's smarter for the guys on old tires. If you see somebody like Robert Miller, especially anybody in these Logitech G cars, I mean, my goodness, anytime I see this paint scheme and I'm in a race with them, I'm like, well, they're going to be up front. I'm either going to have to fight them for the win, or they're going to dog me by 10 seconds. So anytime I see that paint scheme, I typically let it go. You just kind of know those guys are going to be crazy quick, as, man, Miller Bond's really tight on he's so tight on Jonathan Oshlam that he spins him out going down into turn number 1. Oshlam goes sideways, 360 no scope going down into turn number 1. He's able to save it. Caution doesn't come out until just now.
That's surprising that the cautions have been so, I'd say a lot of cautions here. I mean, of course, we've only had 2, but I'm just saying, last night I called a different race for another league, and they had 229 laps of racing, and they did not have a single caution based on an accident. I'm just wondering what is happening here in the officials that is causing these cautions to come out. But you see right here, Miller Bonds up into the 11. I almost feel like they met in the middle there. I think the 11 did kind of come down. Of course, that actually is the 10 in sim, but the 11 cosmetically, Joshua Oshlam, I almost feel like he came down a little bit. What is your take on that?
I'm going to have to get another look at it. I honestly thought, I hate to blame netcode every time I see one of these, but I really don't think they touched until...
I don't know. I think
they're stupid close. They're stupid close, but I think that Miller got up to side draft at the start-finish line, and, they're inches apart, and a little bit of netcode into it brings the 11 of Oshlam down into Miller Bonds. I don't think the 11 moved, and I also don't think Miller Bonds hit him. For whatever reason, we've seen a couple of netcode incidents this week. It was really good at Daytona, personally, but for a couple incidents I've seen this week, there's been a couple issues. So again, this will be a great view just to kind of see if I'm right about this one. I was wrong about the first one. I said the first one was netcode and it wasn't. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, they never touched there. You could see they kind of made air contact. So just unfortunate for Oshlam there, but maybe a little tight of racing for Miller Bonds here on the it's lap 25 and he's side drafting that hard. I get it, but maybe just a little early for that. I really don't know why I said 360 no scope in the middle of a racing broadcast, but hey, whatever flies, it doesn't matter. But again, tire strategy. Nicholas Roman and all the leaders coming down after that little run. and just about everybody that pitted on the first one did not. There's 9 or 10 cars that stayed out. Robert Miller's going to inherit the lead, so this will be really interesting just to kind of see how these cars cycle back through the field, if Roman can pick through them really, really quick, or if maybe the field gets shuffled. You know, maybe we see Sean Conklin, maybe we see Chris Wilhite really challenge for that net race lead and then pick through the field better than Broman. It'll be interesting to watch that on the restart.
Yeah, definitely is going to be traffic is going to be a big deal here. Let's see, you know, Broman, we've seen him in clean air pretty much all race long. We have not seen him in dirty air yet, so I feel like that's going to be a big thing to see how that race car handles in the dirty air. I mean, that's a big thing. A lot of people don't realize how how much that influences the handling of the race car at tracks like this. I think it's more important at a track like this than other tracks, wouldn't you say?
I think it definitely could. I mean, the handling is so important here just because of how much the tires wear. So I could definitely see it making a little bit more of a difference. I mean, Darlington is just such a technical racetrack. It almost races more like a road course, you could say. I know that kind of sounds a little bit weird, but just because there's banking, and there's not a lot of banking on road courses, but I just feel like the technical ability of a road course racer would really come in handy at a track like Darlington. I guess is probably the best way for me to say that.
Yeah, for sure, and especially both ends of this racetrack are vastly different. So I think a lot of drivers are going to have a hard time nailing the setup as well, and it's very easy. I know I'm not the most experienced driver at all on the sim, but I know that it's very easy to forget kind of which corner you're in, and look, that could be a huge deal too. I mean, if you're going through 1 and 2, it's way different than 3 and 4. I mean, 3 and 4, you're using a little bit of brake. 1 and 2, you're pretty much going through there, you know, at least 60% throttle, no brake.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. You use a little brake to tap to get, or you tap the brake a little bit to get into turn number 1. Really just to set the nose of the car going into the corner, making sure that you can get that thing to really wrap around the corner. So you might see some guys dragging going into 1, and then like you mentioned, you're maybe 60% throttle going into the corner. Like after you get off the gas completely, you get to 60%, and then maybe you're up to like 80, 90 as you're in the middle of the corner because you're washing up to the wall, trying to get as much momentum around the corner, but also trying not to kill the tires. And then you let off again in the middle of the corner. Such a weird track, man. But that's what makes Darlington so much fun. It's so difficult on the drivers, so difficult on the equipment in real life. And I've seen some people with damage this week that it affects them a whole lot more this week than it would at a typical 1.5 miles, just because this track is so difficult. So if we see some people get damaged, I think it'll be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more toxic for them than it would be at, say, a Kansas or a Texas. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't think anybody's really gotten any damage so far, just a couple meaningless spins. So we'll see if that kind of continues.
Yeah, it's been incredibly lucky that these guys haven't really hit the wall very hard. I mean, that's one of the things that could really easily happen. I mean, I think the most dangerous place for you to really hit that wall is probably coming out of 2, because you're carrying just so much speed. But for the most part, you're just having kind of glancing blows. And, you know, everybody, I think, eventually in this race is going to get that Darlington stripe. You wear it as a badge of honor as we see the pace car dip down pit road as we're getting ready to go green once again here. As we start lap number 30, Robert Miller, of course, for the first time, is going to be leading us to green. And there it is. Green flag is out. Robert Miller with a really good start. You talked about those Logitech G cars. He's definitely looking very quick. As we see side by side for second place, the 26, of course, 14 cosmetically of Luis Salmaso battling with Miller Bonds. Looks like Bonds has taken that spot. Oh, and there goes Jose Acosta around in front of the field. This is going to be the big one here.
Oh,
Nicholas
a couple Ryko cars are in that.
Nanny's
Roman
involved.
And Nanny.
This is a big one. This is the big one.
That hurts a couple people for sure. We saw somebody, I'm going to have to get a look. It was, I want to say that started ahead of Jose, to be honest. Adam Matz kind of checked up the field in the Chase Elliott tribute paint scheme right here. That kind of looks like his dad's old Dodge paint scheme. He kind of checked up the field coming out of 2, and I think that checked Jose up even more, and then I believe Jose got tagged from somebody else behind him coming out of the corner. So just a chain reaction that happened because one driver was just a little slow out of the corner, and that's all it takes at a track like Darlington. And I think the big winner out of that, oh, wow, I was about to say Sean Conklin, but even he has big nose damage. A trio of Ryko cars got really unlucky in that wreck after they just pitted.
Yeah, this is going to have such an impact on the rest of this race. I mean, we were just talking about, oh, luckily nobody's really had any big damage. And here we go. As we take a look back at it, you see Jose gets checked up by, of course, that, like you said, that is, it says 9, but I don't know if that actually is the 9 there. But he got checked up, and unfortunately the guys behind him did not have the same level of patience that Jose Acosta did. and that just caused a massive crash. I do believe that's Chris Woolhite we're looking at right there. So a lot of drivers just getting just smashed right there. So take another look at it, and you can just see this is a Daytona big one right here at Darlington.
I think we're mainly on board with Wilhite here. Yeah, I mean, all the Ryko cars go sliding down the racetrack, except for Wilhite, who gets, oh man, he gets hit again going into the outside wall. But, you know, I was kind of putting that on Adam Matz, I think, in my original assessment. And after watching the replay, I'm going to take it back a little bit because I don't think it was necessarily like his fault that he had to check up so hard. I thought he was just slow out of the corner originally, but he was actually letting Hollabaugh go because Hollabaugh made an amazing move down in the bottom of 1 and 2 to be able to clear him coming out of the corner. And Matz was slowing up for him. Jose was slowing up for Matz. And then, you know, just a couple people slow up for each other at, honestly, the point of turn 2 where you're full throttle, right? You're coming off that corner. You're trying to get as much speed down the backstretch. And it's just so tight. Nowhere to go. And you can see from the backboard of Conklin here, I mean, there's just smoke everywhere. Nobody can really see what's going on if you're anywhere behind this.
Like
and it just ends up in a big stack up. Yeah, and Conklin was able to get that nose damage fixed. It'll be interesting to see if he's got some engine damage or not, but I'm looking at his nose and it looks completely clean now, so maybe Conklin will be all right, but Vroman did take a pretty decent hit, I believe. His left front is still a little dinged up after getting damage fixed, so it'll be interesting to see just how bad that affects Vroman. Even his right rear's pushed in a little bit, so probably our dominant car of the night, you know, who we would expect to challenge for the win, is pretty damaged. And I mean, I think he'll still be up there. I think he'll still be a top 5 car, but guys like Robert Miller, and even Sean Conklin, since he's able to get all of his damage fixed, are going to be looking at that as a big opportunity with Roman being a little damaged.
No, I agree. I think this is a big opportunity for a lot of drivers. And I think that, you know, just that decision to come down pit road when those guys did, I mean, that's kind of what led to that. They were on the newer tires. They had, you know, were trying to get on a different strategy than the rest of the guys did. And that almost led to exactly what happened there. I mean, it all comes down to a lot of times when you make those decisions, you know, to come down pit road, it puts you in traffic. And Vroman had the clean air before. He put himself in traffic, and that just led to all sorts of calamity. As we see the pace car down pit road, Robert Miller going to be leading us to green once again here. Of course, Miller Bond's going to be starting on the high side. And here we go, green flag. Back out again, Robert Miller with a really good start. Do we see another pile up? Of course, we talk about Adam Matz, who was involved in that crash, the 27 car, cosmetically the 9. He's going to possibly check up the field even more here, 3 wide almost.
I'm kind of confused why he went down to the apron, but he gives way to the rest of the field, and it looks like everybody else is going to get off at turn number 2 pretty nice. But, man, he just about stacked up the field all over again, going through the same corners as last time. If that one would have been a wreck, I would have put it on him because I didn't know what the heck he was doing that time. But the whole field gets through and we're good. But Robert Miller eking out just a little bit of a gap to Miller Bonds here, going down to turn number 1. He's got a 0.3 of a second gap at the line that time by, but Miller cuts it down into turn number 1. Man, he's really dogging Robert going into turn 1, but Robert's able to stretch it back out, coming off at 2 just a little bit.
We're starting to see a stack up as well a little bit further back. Jacob Klein is kind of been hitting the wall a little bit right in front of Chris Woolhite, and we're seeing a lot of that stack up the drivers behind him. So I would not be surprised to see maybe another crash that comes from back here. These guys are definitely banging quite substantially. We're seeing a lot of guys just really fighting for real estate here and, you know, battling outside of the top 10 as well. So, I mean, this is, you can just tell a lot of these guys are probably frustrated. This track brings out a lot of those short track tempers.
Yeah, no kidding. It's just because the track is so freaking tight. You can't do anything. You can't go anywhere. Somebody's in front of you. It checks you up, and then all of a sudden somebody dives your inside going down into turn number 1, and all of a sudden you're side by side in the tightest part of the racetrack, probably the tightest part of any of the ovals that we go to. In all seriousness, it's tighter than most of the short track ovals. But actually, oh man, trouble by Miller Bonds going into turn number 1. Third place of Luis Salmosa gets in it as well, but Robert Miller goes hard into the outside wall, able to save it, but Miller Bonds cannot. He is sideways in the middle of turn 1 and 2.
What a wreck. We saw that for the lead, and it just happened all of a sudden as Miller Bonds got right into Robert Miller, as we're definitely going to have to queue up a replay for that. But wow, what a crash for the lead. I'm shocked that these guys are not having a little bit more patience here at Darlington, and I think this is going to be a race of pure attrition, of survival by the end of this race. Who is going to be the one that survives Darlington, I think, is going to be pretty much the main question. Is here comes Miller Bonds to the inside, and Robert Miller, I don't think, knew he was underneath him there.
Oh, that shit. I mean, that's just not really a corner that you dive in late like that, though. I mean, even if I'm side by side with somebody down the entirety of the front stretch, if I'm not to their rear wheel going into that corner, I back out, man. I make sure that we both have plenty of room going through the corner. I just think Miller pulled out way too late. I mean, he's really not there, and he never goes down to the line whenever they make contact. I mean, I gotta say, Miller Bonds just kind of made a dive bomb kamikaze kind of move going into turn 1 way too early. I mean, he had been good coming out of turn 2, so I really thought that he would set him up and use that run that he just gathered out of 4 to just kind of hound pressure on Robert going through the corner, maybe try to get on his back bumper, make him a little nervous, get him a little loose, but I just think that he used that run a little too early.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't think that it was a late move. See, right here, and just a bad spot, too, to try to pass. 1 and 2 is just not a place that you really want to make moves like that. Like you said, just try to – a lot of times what you want to do is you want to try to build the momentum on the exit of 2 and pass on the straightaway and not, on the entrance of 1. That's like the worst place to make a pass here. But I think now's a really good time while we have another caution to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with some more racing here at Darlington Raceway on GridVision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to GridVision's coverage of NIS competition here at Darlington Raceway. The lady in black, and of course, we have seen the track too tough to tame, I'd say, rear her ugly head. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Estrom as my co-commentator, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. We've seen a number of crashes, and I'd say attrition starting to set in. Of course, Luis Salmaso, who was involved in that crash, he had some front-end damage. He's up front right now.
Yeah, I don't know why he stayed out. You got to get that damage fixed as soon as you can. His right front splitter's bent up. His hood is off a little bit. You can see a big crack in the front of his roof, even from as far back as our camera is right here. So if I was Luis, I would have pitted there for sure. He's going to be a sit and duck here, in my opinion. I mean, that's going to make him really, really tight going through these corners, especially into 1. Hopefully Matt's not to his outside going into the first corner, because I could see Salmosa just pushing him up into the wall.
Yeah, this is going to be scary. Did he lose some RPM as the green flag is back out? Good start, though, from Luis, as he is going to head into turn 1 uncontested at the moment. So let's see how much this affects him as Jose Acosta is going to make a move on Hottenbach. I think a lot of these drivers knew that he had that damage, so they did not really want to press the issue. But here comes Joshua Watson, big run to the high side. Paul Bergoli thinking about possibly taking him 3 wide as he's going to fall in behind Levine.
Yep, and Levine going through down into P4, working around the outside of Jose Acosta. He's done a really good job working from the back of this field. Pitted on that second caution, I do believe, and he is working up into the top 5. I mean, my goodness, great run from Justin Levine in that GridVision car right there. Love to see our sponsorship on that car working out pretty good. Hopefully he can put it in victory lane, but you know, he's working on Joshua Watson here now, and Watson's really, really quick. I mean, he's got one of those Ryko setups under him. We know how fast he is. He's I believe, top 4 in the standings, so we know that Joshua Watson is a hell of a driver. I might be sucking up to him a little bit because I wrecked him earlier this week, but we're going to forget about that and just say he's doing a good job holding on to P3.
Yeah, I think I was hanging out with you when that happened, and you were talking trash about him, too, at Daytona, so, I mean, he's going to be trying to make up for all that now, as we see Chris Wilhite as well making his way up to 11th place. I think he just got by, of course, Cody Richardson. Also, Sean Conklin's back in the fight, so we're seeing a lot of drivers. Oh, big problems. Vroman around again as the yellow flag is out. Big wreck for Nicholas Vroman. My word.
Man, I mean, the favorite just in it again. So unfortunate for Nicholas Vroman. We're going to have to get a look back on that one just to see what happened there, see if it was his fault, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think it was.
Race car. He's doing a burnout right now. I think something's broke on that race car right now.
Yeah, that thing is not looking too good going backwards.
He's got a broke toe link, that is for sure. And this is not sure what he's doing, if he's trying to reverse it to pit road, trying to avoid taking a toe. But you can see something is making it to where he's having a tough time steering. And I don't know if NASCAR really appreciates him going backwards like this.
You can just see from that, he's going straight backwards, and he's got his wheels turned 30 degrees to the right. So you can just tell, you can see the skid marks coming out from under the vehicle. I mean, you can just tell that he is completely killed. And like I said, he's the race favorite. I mean, he got the pole. He's been stupid quick, and this is really going to hurt him in the point standings because he's trying to get back into contention with Garrett Maines. But we see going through turn 1, he just kind of checks up here for the car on the outside, and the car behind him just doesn't really check up, gets into his back bumper, sends him right around. 3 cars go hard on the outside wall. That's Miller Bonds on the outside, and then he gets tagged again in the right rear. That's probably where the major damage came from, where the 23 got him in the right rear quarter panel. I want to say that's where it knocked out that right rear toe.
Yeah, that was Ty Ippolito. Really hard lick there, and it all led from the 16. Of course, not really the Brandon Sox there, not really just being as patient as he should have been. Of course, Miller Bonds really nowhere to go as well, and oh, look at that, just such a hit after the fact there. The 23 of Ty Ippolito pretty much putting a nail in the coffin for the 95, as he has barely managed to get to pit road here. He is now 1 lap down Nicholas Vroman, I'm speaking of, and you could just tell he's having a tough time even driving that race car.
Yeah, he's still sideways. I mean, very sad to see from him, but yeah, we're on board with Ty Ippolito, kind of seeing his viewpoint here, see what he maybe could have done different. You see the wreck in front of him. Nicholas Vroman goes sideways to go into the outside wall. He cuts it down to the inside. I mean, he's sideways the entire time. It's not like he could really do much at that point. I don't know if he got tapped from the rear, if that was from him hitting the brakes to try to, you know, slow his car down coming out of the corner, but he got sideways on the exit trying to avoid the wreck, and at that point he was just a passenger and really couldn't do anything. So unfortunate for him, unfortunate for Nick Vroman especially. I mean, you know, I've been hounding it. Race favorite, championship contender, out early. I mean, he's going to be multiple laps down even after he gets the required repairs done.
No, I think we're going to see a lot more of drivers kind of, this is the Hunger Games here at Darlington. We're seeing the names kind of go across the top of the screen. You know, you're done, and it's unfortunate, you know, especially Vroman. You started up in the front of the field. I mean, this guy had clean air. He was dominating the race early, and, you know, just traffic. That's pretty much the name of it, just traffic. And but still, you know, Ryko is still looking pretty good, though. They have Matt Hollebach in the lead, Joshua Watson for second place. Of course, Justin Levine, he's now up to the podium. So this is going to be a race about survival. This is clearly what's happening here. We're going to get that long green run, though, eventually. But I think we just got to get these we just got to, you know, get this all out of our system.
Yeah, no kidding. I hope they do, because we've seen some good racing whenever they can, you know, keep it green, keep it going, but it's just not really working out to this point. You know, I've talked about the race favorite. I'm probably going to switch that over to Conklin. I think that he's got a super fast hot rod, and he was really hounding Vroman before those cautions kind of came out that kind of put them back towards the back of the pack. And while he had damage, it looked like he was able to get all of his fixed, where Vroman really couldn't, even off the first one. So I'd have to shift my race favorite to Sean Conklin, but we'll have to wait and see. He's moved up to the 11th place position even after getting his damage repair. So I think he's kind of not in the driver's seat, obviously, because he's back in 11th, but I think he's going to have something to say about the winner of this race towards the end of it.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of people that could end up winning this thing. I mean, especially he's in traffic. That's the biggest part of it. You know, that's the danger zone. I'd want to be. I think the lesson that everybody's learning right now is that you need to be in clean air because otherwise you're in danger. You know, because I mean, it seems like even if you're patient and you try to slow down for a driver ahead of you to try to be, you know, have that give and take. The guys behind you are not on that same wavelength, and it seems like you're going to be kind of punished for being patient here tonight.
Yeah, that's what you saw in that wreck right there with Roman. I mean, he was trying to just give plenty of give to the guy in front of him, but unfortunately he just got ran over from behind by somebody that wasn't. But I also want to point out our C-tier producer there did a great job of that camera work. I mean, that was not C-tier, so it kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought we got a different producer.
Yes.
Yeah, well, C+. C+.
And here we go, getting ready to go green once again here on lap 40. I'm going to be starting 49. Green flag out. Matt Cottonbach with a really good start there. Joshua Watson in the battle with Justin Levine. Levine has the inside. And side by side, as we take a really good camera angle off the back of the 13 machine. And it looks like Levine's going to be a little bit patient here. It's going to fall behind. As we see a big stack up, though. A little bit behind Jose Acosta. Of course, Lawrence Shaughnessy battling with Richard Garcia for that 5th place position. Also, Garcia battling with Paul Bergoli. Looks like Garcia's really loose on the top there.
Yeah, we saw Lawrence Shaughnessy get into the back of Jose Acosta just a little bit going into turn number 3. Man, he really dove it in there deep, trying to get to Jose's bumper. Just about moved him out of the way going into the corner, but he ends up settling back into P5. Really good run from Lawrence so far. You know, I've mentioned in previous iterations of NIS Open on Friday nights that Lawrence has kind of been unlucky. He's gotten wrecked by other people's mistakes down deep in the field in a lot of races. I remember Richmond, he got junked by somebody, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. Indianapolis Road Course, I think that was more on him. I think he just was a little bit slow there. But Watkins Glen, he had a great showing. And here tonight, I mean, he's up in the top 5. So really good run from Shaughnessy here, just putting in good laps. A lot of his, and as soon as I say that, they're just about wrecking towards the back. Robert Miller makes a good save in the middle of turns 1 and 2. I thought he was going around, but that's going to check up our field major. We got 2 major packs now. Kind of our lead pack of 10, and then everybody behind him. And Robert Miller's going to spin it out coming out of turn number 2. I thought he had it saved. I thought he was all good, but man, he loops it around. Actually bounces off the inside wall with his rear bumper, but he's going to be okay.
Yeah, surprised this didn't call the caution. He kind of looped it around on the apron there. And you see Maggie McGuire trying to hit the brakes to avoid hitting that race car. That definitely caused quite a bit of, I'd say, drama. Luckily, it did not bring a caution. We do stay green, but like you said, it has split up the packs quite substantially, I do believe. As we see, of course, the top 11 all within about 2.5 seconds, but of course, 2.7 seconds back to 12, Tyler Marble.
Yep, and that's all because of that big stack up we saw. We're going to have to get a replay at some point here of Robert Miller in 1 and 2 from that last time by just to see what happened. I mean, I couldn't tell exactly what was going on. I just heard in my voice chat, I got the voice comms on. All of a sudden, I heard wrecking, and then, you know, I see Robert Miller sideways in the background. So I thought that he was going to do a good job of saving it, but unfortunately, coming out of turn 2, he just could not hold on to the car the entire time. But we've actually seen a couple guys get past Jose Acosta. Lawrence Shaughnessy's moved up into the 4th position. Richard Garcia into 5th, and Paul Bergoli's now on the inside looking for 6.
Yeah, good race right now. You see Paul Bergoli trying to make something happen. Jose Acosta, of course, getting able to get the run on the exit. Conklin pushes Paul Bergoli. It looks like Bergoli, I think he's going to definitely do a slide job to try to see if he can't get his pass completed. He does move up to the 6th place position. Now Conklin going to be setting his sights on, of course, the 19 of Jose Acosta as well. I do believe we see Jason Wallet trying to make something happen. Or actually, that is Jonathan Ashland trying to make something happen on Jason Wallet for that 10th place position.
Yeah, and if I'm at the back of this main pack, actually, I'll hold that thought so we can watch this replay. Probably of Robert Miller. Yep, Robert Miller coming out of turn number 4 right here. We're going to see him in a battle with the 12 machine. Oh, I think we skipped ahead. I'm not quite certain, but yeah, coming out of turn number 4. The 12 on the outside here just kind of crowd him a little bit. Robert Miller comes up. Oh, man, Robert kind of came up there a little bit. Kind of turned himself because of his kind of mistake coming up into the corner, but man, he does a good job holding on to it. A lot of these guys taking evasive action throughout the field just to make sure they don't make it worse than it could have been. And man, he just about had the power down, but maybe he got onto it just a little bit too quick. You saw that wheel was straight, so maybe he could have come off that corner better, but just a little bit too much throttle, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for him, but I mean, really fortunate for a lot of the other drivers. I mean, they could have easily got in that. I mean, he did the right thing by trying to get off the racetrack as well. I mean, he could have easily caused more problems than he did. As we see Matt Hollenbach, he has got the biggest lead we've seen thus far tonight, 1.4 seconds, almost 1.5 right now, as we're seeing a big battle, I do believe, at the moment. I do believe that is Richard Garcia. Oh, I'm sorry, that is I believe that is Jason Wallet.
I think it's
Tyler Marble, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Tyler Marble we're looking at in the Napa machine right there, right in front of him, Michael McLean. But yeah, you mentioned Matt Hollabaugh. I'd be a little nervous that his lead's that big. I'm a little sketched out by that. You know, you pull out that big of a lead on the first 10 laps of tires, and you're probably going to go backwards after about another 10 laps, and we see that lead has shrunk a little bit. Watson's cut it down to 1.3. It was 1.5 not too long ago. So I'm a little worried that Hollabaugh is kind of killing his tires a little bit. Maybe he's he's up front. And, Matt Hollabaugh is not typically the guy that we see leading these Friday night NIS Opens, and I don't say that in a negative way. Matt Hollabaugh, a really clean driver, typically is one of those guys that just sticks around and gets the top 10 at the end of most of these races, and that's very, very respectable. That's how you get up the ladder in iRacing, or in iRating. To any of these guys, or anybody watching the service here tonight, watching this race, just know if you're in the lower iRating tiers, if you're 15, 25, 3,500, man, all you got to do is come in the top 10 in all these races and you gain iRating. And that's what Matt Hollabaugh does, man. He just keeps his nose clean most of the time, runs a good, clean race, and ends up finding himself in the top 10 more times than not. And right now he's leading the field. But again, Joshua Watson is really cutting into that lead.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is going to be a major lesson that I think Matt's going to learn here. You know, a lot of times when you get out front, in a strength of field that is this high, that has so many talented drivers, you kind of get, I'd say, anxiety. I mean, I know I would be. If I was out front like Matt, I would be definitely looking in my rear view a lot more, driving over a little bit more, I'd say driving a little more aggressively than he probably should. So, and I think that's exactly what's going on. He's got about a second now back to Joshua Watson. Hopefully he's realizing that. Hopefully he's got somebody in his ear saying, hey, man, just back it down. You don't need to drive as hard as you're doing. Like, let these guys come, let the car come to you. This is one of these tracks where you got to run your own race.
And it's one of the tracks where you got to race the racetrack. I mean, you got to do that at every oval, right? Tire saving is always such a big deal at a lot of the ovals here on iRacing, but especially Darlington, man. I mean, this track, you have to take care of your equipment. You can't pound that outside wall and knock out a toe link. You can't knock out the suspension on one of these things or else you're dead in the water, and you cannot kill the right front tire. I mean,
we see a big problem for Brandon Schmidt back here. Just outside the 15th position, he is going to spin around. It was right in front of, I do believe, Daniel Nanny, as he is, of course, in the Elite Performance Machine. Definitely going to have to take a look and see what happened here. Caution flag has come out as a result of this incident. Sorry to cut you off there, but I was kind of looking back here at this battle and saw that he seemed like he got really loose off of turn 2. And right there, Nanny tried to go underneath them 3 wide. Just had such a run on the exit. And unfortunately, we see Brandon Schmidt went around.
I mean, Nanny had the run coming out of 2. Yeah, maybe, and I honestly think he thought Schmidt was going to clear the outside line and move up, but it just didn't really happen. And Nanny gave him some room, but the 22 did come down a little bit. So again, it's just that tight exit at turn 2, man. I mean, if you're even side by side, right? If you're 2x2, it's super, super tough. Somebody throws a 3 wide coming off the exit 2 with a big run, and it's just kind of a recipe for disaster. Because if somebody has to make just any little adjustment coming off the corner, and you have to do that every time you come out of a corner at Darlington, somebody's going around. And it just, unfortunately, it happened that time as well.
And we're seeing a lot of drivers, the majority of the field, coming to pit road. I see Luis Salmaso, of course, has decided to stay out, as well as I do believe, I think he was the actually only driver that has elected to stay out. So we do see Maggie McGuire, I think, is out there, probably trying to maybe get a lap back here. But it looks like Joshua Watson wins the race off of pit road. But that was quite a sizable hit there for Brandon Schmidt. That was a very hard lick on the inside wall. Wouldn't be surprised to see that race car not handling the same way after that.
Oh, unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Matt Hollabaugh speeding on pit road. We were just singing his praises, talking about he's leading the race. He was doing such a good job, but he just goes a little over going down pit road, and he's going to have to fall all the way to the back of the pack. I was just singing his praises, saying he's the guy who keeps his nose clean, doesn't make mistakes, finished the top 10. I still bet he'll finish in the top 10. But, man, I can't say something like no mistakes and then you get a pit road speeding penalty. That's so sad.
I'm thinking I'm seeing another issue as well, and maybe another mistake as well. Ronnie Kurritz did go down pit road, but did not take a stop at all. I mean, just pretty much drove down pit road, gained a lot of positions is now up to 4th. So I'm wondering, I don't think he actually stopped in his box, didn't? So this is going to be interesting. He's on old tires. I'm curious to see how this plays out with that 29. Haven't seen him that far up front at all. So curious to see how that's going to play out. I mean, being on older tires like that, up in 4th, really an unknown quantity.
I feel like that that view of his side door. Yeah, I feel like I was looking at a mobile game ad where they put the cartoon attractive female on the
Oh, no.
outside. They're like, yeah, look at this girl. You're a mob boss. You gotta pick the girl or the money. And I guess Carrots picked the girl. I mean, goodness gracious. Our
It looks
producer
like he
said
is coming down the pit road now. He'll probably get that set of tires.
our producer said pay to win setups, pay to win games, and that's pretty accurate. I got to give you that one.
We're gonna get sued
C
by
plus
pay to
is
win
becoming
here.
B minus. That's pretty good. C tier producer going up 2 tiers here in one. I mean, only 65 laps. I mean, you're going to be an A plus by the end of this, Darby. So that was pretty good.
We're getting ready to get sued by pay to win.
No. I'm sure they love us.
But definitely not the reason you want to get on the GridVision broadcast, that's for sure. But he did come down pit road, got himself I guess he just missed his box. It's very easy to do. I mean, you got 30 cars coming down pit road at the same time. It's very easy to do.
Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm downloading the Mob Boss game right now.
Oh, Lord.
Just kidding. Anyway. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. That got me gave me a little bit of a chuckle there. So, but Luis Salmaso, that was great. Ended up fixing up his damage to pit stop before that. And he's the lone guy that stayed out. My goodness, tongue-tied. We got all types of stuff going on right now. I'm kind of feeling like the Indy broadcast over again with a turn 7 crazy stuff that happened towards the end of it. But anyway, we're going to throw it back over to you for the restart so that I can shut up.
Yep, here we go. Green flag soon to be flying here. Pace car has dipped down pit road as Luis Salmaso is going to be coming to the green flag. And here it is. Green flag is back out. Good start there. Let's see if the damage has been completely repaired for that race car. Very good start for Justin Levine as they play chicken going into turn 1. I think Levine's going to win the game of chicken unless, I don't know, Watson, really good run along the high side here. Man. Also, I do believe Richard Garcia battling with Shaughnessy for that 5th place position. And Conklin, you talked about him. He's up to 4th.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. Sean Conklin, one of the fastest drivers in the sim, in my opinion. Obviously not. I don't think he's quite to Roman's level, but I mean, we saw he was just as fast as Roman in the early stages of this. He's got his damage fixed. He's looking to the outside of Justin Levine going into turn number 1, and he takes the position outright. Levine's going to fall back to 4th. Richard Garcia cuts him a break for that 4th position, falls to 5th, and Lawrence Shaughnessy on the heels of Richard Garcia for 5th place. He's in 6th.
And this is a much different type of restart that we, right now. We're seeing a lot of single file. A lot of these drivers, I think, are just realizing, hey, we need to log some laps here, guys. Like, we got to stop wrecking. But also them being so single file. I mean, one little accordion effect could unravel everything here.
And that's the I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Darlington's so tough. It's so fun to watch because you can just tell how much the drivers are wheeling it. But like, oh man, Tyler Marble gets the wall coming out of turn 2 a little bit further back for about 10th place. But anyway, if they're all accordioned up in 1 and 2, especially where there's really just one lane. I mean, there is one lane in 1 and 2. You can make 2 work, but it's really just one lane. And if they're all accordioned up like that, we saw Nicholas Roman earlier. He got stacked up because of somebody in front of him, and then he gets run over from behind and basically takes him out of the race. He's 21 laps down, still in the pit. So, I mean, it just takes one little mistake from somebody else that can ruin your day.
We're not even halfway through this race as well. I mean, we still have such a long way to go. As here comes Conklin to the inside of Joshua Watson for 2nd place, and he's going to make that pass look easy as he slides up in front of the 6 machine. Also side by side, I do believe, is Jose Acosta and Michael McLean for 11th.
Yeah, I think Joshua Watson just kind of cut his teammate a break there going into that corner, just letting him have the position. I think he saw Sean has come from way further back. But, yep, we're looking at Jose Acosta, who has just made the pass there for 11th. And now he's setting his sights on Brian Young for 10th. And we saw Brian Young was sideways earlier in this event. And he's climbed his way all the way back up to the P2 position. So good job from the driver of the number 22 machine. Him, Jose, 10th, 11th. Tyler Marble up there in 9th. We saw him involved in an accident earlier as well. So we've seen a lot of guys that have been involved in accidents creep their way back up towards the front of the field, not to mention Sean Conklin, who had a ton of nose damage, got it all fixed, and is now hounding our leader of Luis Salmosa.
Yeah, definitely Conklin. I think he's going to be wanting to fight for that clean air. He hasn't really had clean air all race long. He was pretty much following Roman earlier in the event, but you see Salamasso not really wanting to give him that position, even though Conklin shows that he has a little bit more speed. We also saw, I do believe, Justin Levine make the pass on Joshua Watson, moves himself up to the third place position. Also seeing some side-by-side battle, I do believe Michael McLean and Jose Acosta going at it again.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. They're both super, super aggressive, and they're just going at each other like crazy, swapping around that 11th place position nonstop. I mean, McLean had it, then Jose had it, then McLean had it, but now Sean Conklin looking to the inside of the race leader, Luis. He's going to take it easily going down into turn number 3. Salamasso actually gets out of the gas quite a bit going in the corner and actually lets Justin Levine on through too, and now Levine's on the back bumper of Sean Conklin for the race lead.
Yeah, can Levine get something done here in that race car? Been looking very good here. I know he came close at Daytona. Very, very fast, of course, until he got into an accident. Of course, early in that event, definitely had the speed. He's been close to getting one of these NIS dubs. Still got a long way to go, though. He's got to be able to survive. And that's going to be, I think, like I said, the main deal is survive this race. And hopefully Levine is able to do that. And would be the first time we'd see, I do believe, an NIS race or a GridVision race car win an NIS competition. Wouldn't that be something?
Hey, that would be great. But as we were talking about that, guess who swapped positions back again? Good old McLean lost the position to Jose Acosta. Oh, man, McLean's actually going to pitch car while coming off of turn number 2. Hard racing towards the back of this pack. He's able to hold on to the 12th place position, but McLean had actually made a pass on Brian Young, who had made a mistake beforehand. And then McLean had to get way out of the gas coming out of 2 and gave the position back to both of them, including Acosta. He was able to hold off Ryan Carwile, though, so good job holding it back onto that 12th place position. But, man, Jose Acosta and Michael McLean they can't get away from each other.
Well, I think it helps that Salamasso, of course, went from first to all the way back to 11th. He's now somewhat of the referee between these two drivers, so it looks like Samasso's still going to steadily lose positions. I think McLean's going to be wanting to be hungry to get back up there to the 19. Can he possibly get by the 26 here? Of course, Daniel Nanny as well. Surprised to see him back in this race. Still looking okay. I'm sure he's still got some damage left on that race car. As we see side by side, Joshua Watson and Richard Garcia. Richard Garcia's been looking really fast this race as well.
Wow, that's really impressive from Richard to get to the inside of Watson. Man, he really shoved him up the racetrack there. Didn't give him any room coming off the corner. Great job from both those drivers just to keep it straight. I mean, my goodness, Joshua Watson still trying to fight back on the outside. Going down into turn number 3. Richard Garcia squeezes up just a little bit. Shaughnessy's right all over his bumper. Man, he doesn't lift for him. Gives him just a little bit of a tap coming out of turn 4. And Richard Garcia is actually going to use that tap to get a little bit of a boost down the straightaway. They're still side by side going down to turn number 1. Who lifts first? Neither one of them. They both go side by side. Garcia almost into the side there of Joshua Watson for 3rd place. Keeps it off of him just enough. Able to cut back down off the corner coming off of turn number 2.
What a race we're seeing right now for this 3rd place position. Both drivers not giving up. As it looks like, I think Watson was like, yeah, this is going to end badly if I do not let you go. As you see, of course, Shaughnessy now trying to peek on the inside of Watson. Not quite able to get there. We also see Jose Acosta, I do believe, trying to make something happen on Brian Young. As Justin Levine still hounding our leader, Sean Conklin.
Man, I got to be honest, that was really, really impressive from Richard Garcia to make that bottom side work. I mean, he was hounding him for lap after lap. Man, somebody further back in the pack gets into the wall just a little bit. I believe that's McLean, who has somehow switched positions back with Jose Acosta whenever we weren't looking. What in the world is going on with these two? But either way, Acosta's now under fire from Carwile going off of turn number 4. They're going to be side by side coming off the corner. Jose does a good job getting the run off the corner and is able to keep that position. And I imagine him and McLean are going to swap positions back here again within the next half lap or so. So maybe we should keep it around here. But Daniel Nanny now working up. He takes the 12th place position there from Carwile, and he's able to clear him going off of turn number 2. And Jose's looking to make a charge on McLean here.
Yeah, Daniel Nanny, surprised to see him back in the battle as we see the 1-2 Sean Conklin and Justin Levine. They have pulled away from the rest of the field, have about a 1.5 second gap on Richard Garcia. But Garcia last time by was a little bit faster than these top two, so I suspect now that he's gotten by Watson, I think he's going to let that Ford's horses kind of be able to onto the racetrack. I think that Garcia has got a really good race car underneath him. I'm not sure what team he's affiliated with, but he's definitely very quick.
Yeah, he's done a great job getting past a couple of the Ryco drivers right there. You know, he's passed both Lawrence Shaughnessy and Joshua Watson, but I would still be worried that you're pushing too hard too early. Oh, man, as soon as I say that, he just about pushes out to the outside wall. Might have given it just a little bit of a love tap, but we see him going down into turn number 1, really driving it in there deep. sweeping it all the way out to the outside wall, using absolutely all of the racetrack, making sure that he gets the best, straight speed coming off of turn number 2, doesn't have too much wheel in it. But I got to think that hard side-by-side battle with Joshua Watson, where he's stuck on the inside, had to have killed those tires to some extent, even if it's just a couple laps. A couple laps at Darlington is an eternity in terms of tire wear whenever it comes to battling. So I'd be interested to see if Richard falls off here anytime soon.
I'm quite surprised, though, that we're not seeing as much fall off at the moment. We're about 18 laps into this run right now. As I see a heck of a battle, I do believe that is Brian Young battling with Michael McLean. Young has been able to make his way up into 9th now. As here comes McLean trying to get back to the inside. Daniel Nanny is just in somewhat of a hornet's nest right now. As also we see, I do believe, Ryan Carlisle still battling with Jose Acosta. These guys cannot get away from each other. All these drivers have been just I mean, they got magnets. I'm sure they're tired of seeing each other for sure. Matt White's also in this fight. Robert Miller. I mean, this is kind of a hornet's nest. I think something could happen at any moment that could bring out a caution.
Yeah, they're racing so hard from 9th on back. McLean has taken the spot from Brian Young, but now Daniel Nanny's trying to look past him, going down the backstretch. He's looking to the inside, going down to turn number 3. Daniel Nanny drives it in deep as we're looking at Robert Miller dive it in deep down to the inside also in turn number 3. He's battling back. I can't even tell what position he's in, but he's back at roughly 20th place, trying to make moves himself. He's in 16th, looking to the inside. Matt White, that's who that was. So he's trying to make that work, but it looks like Daniel Nanny was able to get past Michael McLean. Brian Young gets into the side of Michael McLean going down into turn number 1. He's able to save it, but he comes back on the racetrack in front of Ryan Carlisle. Carlisle gives him a little bit of a bumper. He gives a bumper to the car on the outside. I believe that's Matt White saving it, and a couple other guys go spinning in the back. That's Matt Hollabaugh.
And yellow flag is going to come out as a result of the 13 pretty much being sideways in the racing groove. Of course, I think he went sideways trying to avoid. I think he got a little bit sketched out seeing what was going on in front of him. Fortunately, he did not have any contact. Man, that was definitely a bad deal that could have went worse. So luckily, no one really got a whole lot of damage in that whole situation. But you're watching the from the eyes of Matt Hollenbaugh, as he did have a little bit of contact.
Yeah, he just got pitched coming out that corner trying to miss it.
Unfortunate to see that caution come out. We were having a really good green run. That was kind of progressing there, so it's unfortunate. And those guys were getting very, very aggressive. It kind of all started with Brian Young. You can see Brian Young kind of gets into Robert Miller. And just all kind of heck breaks loose there that brings out that yellow flag. And this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of drivers to go down pit road. We see Richard Garcia has elected to stay out as Conklin, and everybody else pretty much behind him has elected to come down pit road. We'll see if they do change tires here. Of course, tires are a finite resource here at Darlington, and I think a lot of these drivers have already used quite a bit of them.
Yeah, I want to say that this is their 3rd set they're putting on, from the tires they had set in the pit. So they had 7 total. They had 6 behind the wall, and I believe that this is the 3rd set from the 6 behind the wall that they are putting on at this point. And we're not even halfway in, and we've used half of our tires. So that is a little scary to think about if you're some of these guys. Garcia's definitely making the strategy play, saying, hey, I'm gonna save a set right here. He's gonna go backwards. I mean, there's no chance in hell he hangs on to this lead for more than 5 laps. So Richard Garcia is gonna go backwards, but it could end up being a race-winning move. We saw just how fast he was. He was able to pass a couple Ryko cars there with Joshua Watson, and I believe it was Lawrence Shaughnessy. So we know that Richard Garcia's got some pace. He's definitely making a strategy move here just to be able to have another set of tires down in the pits for later in the event.
No, I definitely think this is a good call. I just think that it's going to be difficult for him, like you said, to stay out in the lead. But he's just got to make sure that whenever they get around him, that they're able to do it cleanly, and he doesn't get caught up in any accidents as a result of it, just because of the difference in the pace he's going to have. So I wouldn't. If I was him, I would pop down pit road, grab a little tank of gas. I don't know. I mean, I do think saving that set of tires is the right call. Just considering, I mean, at the end of this race, if everybody else is out of tires and you have one set, you're going to be looking like a genius. So I think that's what maybe Garcia is trying to play at.
Yeah, I think that's definitely his strategy call. The only problem is, like, you don't need it to fall too late, right? If the caution falls with 10 laps to go and you're the only one coming down pit road to put on tires, I mean, congratulations, you got the extra tires, but you're running 30th. You know, you're not going to pick your way all the way through the field. So it's just, I mean, he's just got to have the cautions fall the right way. You know, you got to have the strategy fall perfect, but I mean, he's definitely putting himself in a position where he could win the race. We saw the front 2 leaders kind of pull away from him, so I think he knows, hey, I just don't have, oh my God, I hate that you love Mr. Bean, but he knows that he just doesn't have the pace to run with Conklin or Levine, so maybe he's thinking, okay, well, if I've got the tires towards the end of this race, maybe I can challenge him. But man, I'm gonna have to dock you back down to a C+ instead of a B- just for you zooming in on the freaking Mr. Bean again. I'm so tired of this.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. That's a very creepy helmet. I don't like that. They should be having the pace car lights go out here very, very soon here at Darlington. But what a race we've seen. This place definitely lives up to its reputation. And I'm just, I live in Darlington County, and I've been to so many races here. Just one of the crown jewels of NASCAR. I kind of hate having this as a home track, though, because I don't feel like it's in the cards for me to ever win at a track like this.
You suck. No.
Oh.
All you gotta do is get good. But no.
Okay, thanks. Just go faster.
Hey, yeah, exactly. All you gotta do is hit the gas pedal and turn left. Come on now, buddy. No, you gotta save a lot.
You know it's not that simple here. It's
Trust me,
simple.
I know it's not that simple, but man, you gotta get yourself a dub at Darlington at some point. I've got plenty at my home track, so you need to get a couple of yours. Which mine's an easier one. I think you could win at Talladega. So
I've won there already. So
yeah, that might not count.
Everybody's won there, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I won 6 Carb Cups in a row back in the day. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, man, I'm loving these caution periods. We can just talk about whatever the heck we got coming to our mind. I don't know. Anyway.
You seen that new movie?
I sound like Jeff Burton on the Shane Van Gisbergen, whatever the hell he said at the Chicago. Anyway, the pace car's off. Thank goodness. As we're coming back to the green flag.
Yep. Definitely wish Shane SVG was in this race, as he was in last week's Daytona race. As the green flag is back out in the air, Richard Garcia with a really good start, but I think it's all going to be a matter of time. We're going to see a very different race, I think, on the backstretch, the Bowling backstretch to be exact, as we see Justin Levine making a big move on Watson again here, moves up to the 3rd place position. Also, Daniel Nanny, what a recovery from the 3 machine, of course, cosmetically the 30. He's up to 6 now. Awesome job for him. I think he finished 2nd last week at Daytona.
Yeah, he did. He was having back-to-back really good runs. But Sean Conklin, he's looking to the back bumper. Richard Garcia, he lets off just a little bit going into turn 1. Very smart move. He saw what Miller Bonds did earlier. He said, I'm not going to make that same mistake where Miller took out Robert Miller. Miller Bonds took out Robert Miller. And he actually let off just so he could get a better run through the corner, not press the issue too early. He knows that Richard Garcia is on old tires. He knows he's a sitting duck. He just needs to time the move at the right time to be able to get that clean air, because that clean air can definitely take him, to places where he needs to go. He can get quite a far way ahead of Justin Levine here. And actually here he got the run, looking to the inside. He is there. He is completely there before the corner. Goes way deep, all 4 tires off the racing surface. Pushes Garcia all the way up the racetrack. Sean Conklin, though, is going to get the run through the middle of the corner. Garcia had to lift to get that car to turn, and he's going to have to give up the lead to Conklin. And now Levine's looking to his inside, going down the back.
Yeah, I think that win is about as clean as it could have right there. Conklin was able to, get the pass completed. Levine's able to take advantage. I think Garcia, he just needs to have some give and take here. He knows he's dealing with not a full deck, not a full, not a good hand right now. Of course, he's sacrificing for the longer run here. So I think that if he just lets these guys go, I just would have some patience here. Of course, try to hold on to position if you can. But if these guys start to really knock on your door, just kind of let them go. I don't really see battling being a good idea for the 17. And for sure, as he comes up, I do believe you see Watson coming up to the rear end. Also, Daniel Nanny has made his way up into the top 5. He got by Tyler Marble, has now pulled away from Marble. Marble is being hounded by Chris Wilhite at the moment.
Yeah, they made contact in the middle of turns 1 and 2 last time. Wilhite looked to the inside of Tyler Marble. They got a little bit dory going in the middle of the corner. They were able to keep it single file, though, coming off. Everybody was able to figure it out, make sure there were no incidents. My goodness. Anyway, Richard Garcia, like you were talking about earlier, yeah, as long as he doesn't fall too far down the pack, what he really needs is a 15, 20-lap run and then another caution to come out that forces everybody to pit. So he only loses, maybe 10 positions, but then is on the same tires as everybody and has a set left in the pits. That's really what he's looking for. But now Chris Wilhite looking to the inside of Tyler Marble. Oh, but he backs out going in the corner. But Daniel Nanny was able to take the spot ahead of them from Richard Garcia. That's going to move Nanny back up into the P4 position after we saw him get caught up in an accident earlier.
Yeah, you can tell, I'm sure, Wilhite's getting very frustrated possibly with Tyler Marble. And now here comes Robert Miller. Miller, of course, has had a little bit of an up-and-down day, has shown significant speed. Oh, he's going to get a little tight off of turn number 4. A little bit of contact there. And that is going to give an opportunity to Lawrence Shaughnessy. Oh, and there goes, I do believe, who was that? Shaughnessy just got turned by Miller, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, all of a sudden, caution is out on lap 95. And it was pretty good delay for the caution there. As Robert Miller, I do believe, has taken a tow here. And we're going to take a look back at this. This was definitely a very controversial. I think there's some air was in between those two drivers. Oh, big contact. Paul Bergoli, not really anywhere to go, as Shaughnessy had pretty much made the pass on Miller. And Miller just, you could definitely tell the toe link on that right front pretty much annihilated.
Yeah, we're going to have to get that same camera angle that we had on Miller Bonds earlier whenever he turned Robert Miller. Where it's,
see if there was contact or not.
There wasn't. I'm looking at it right now. There wasn't contact. It was net code. Unfortunate, but Robert Miller was on the inside, and he just comes up the side draft, trying to make the corner as wide as possible, and there's just a little bit of net code. It's basically iRacing's version of a blown tire. That's kind of what I look at it as. It's unfortunate, but you can't control it, really. So, unfortunate for both of those guys, and like I had mentioned earlier with Lawrence Shaughnessy a couple weeks ago, it just seemed like week after week he was getting caught up in somebody else's mess, somebody else was making a mistake. Hard to say that was a Robert Miller mistake, but it was still something that was not of Shaughnessy's doing, and he just got turned around. You can see there was really no contact whenever Shaughnessy started kind of coming down there, and it wasn't Shaughnessy's fault. He didn't turn down the racetrack. It was just, the air bubble that is actually netcode that kind of ripped him around there. It's just unfortunate, but that's just a part of online racing. There's nothing you can really do to get that out of the game. It's always going to be there in some form. So just unfortunate for both those drivers to kind of get taken out by something like that. We're a little over past the halfway point, but still very unfortunate to get taken out early.
Well, and the bad thing about it is Miller, Robert Miller has had that happen before tonight, and he's been in a similar situation already. So you would think that he would learn his lesson. Hey, don't get that close to another driver. That that is gonna possibly happen. So I mean, even though it is somewhat of a of a digital issue that we're seeing, it still is something that you just shouldn't trust that you can run that close to someone. You know what I mean? I mean, just like, hey, maybe give him a little bit more extra room, because this could happen.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But still, at the end of the day, what happened, and it completely takes Robert Miller out of the race. I mean, we saw him tow. It looks like Shaughnessy doesn't have too much damage. He did kind of hit pancake flush with Miller as Miller got the wall, and Shaughnessy just kind of did a 360 and kind of pancaked him against the wall again, and then got his right front into it. But he doesn't have any right front damage. His rear bumpers caved in just a little bit because he got hit from the back, but I think he's going to be relatively okay if he comes down pit road and fixes that thing up. But still, again, I hate to harp on it, but man, Shaughnessy has gotten caught up in so many other people's issues throughout the weeks here since we've been broadcasting the Friday night NIS Open, and it's just kind of heartbreaking to see it happen for him again whenever he was having such a strong run.
Yeah, no, he definitely was having a strong run. I mean, and he had pretty much made the pass, there on wheel height, had really made some stuff happen for himself, and things could have went a lot different for him. I mean, hopefully he's able to kind of recover and have a good day. I mean, definitely seems like he deserves a better day than what he's having here tonight so far. Of course, we're on lap 98. We have crossed, I do believe, the halfway point finally, but still a long way to go as we're coming up, I do believe, to 86 laps to go. Pace car lights should be going out any time now. As Sean Conklin, of course, out front. That is your favorite to win. We'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Of course, he has been hounded pretty much by Justin Levine quite a bit of this race. So right now, we're seeing a lot of Ryko very strong run today. Of course, they have, I do believe, the first position, the third position, fourth position, and sixth at the moment. Not quite sure about any other drivers out there, but definitely a very strong event for them so far. But then again, who is going to survive to the end? I think that's going to be the main thing. Do we see someone else possibly come out here and surprise us? I mean, I think it's going to be, like I said, I don't think the fastest car is going to win here today. I think it's going to be who makes the right rational decisions, right?
Well, I think that you've already been proven right, because I think, the fastest car is actually going to be finishing last place tonight with Nicholas Froman. So you're definitely not wrong, but even the fastest car left, I would have to say it's Sean Conklin, right? So I said he's my favorite. Fastest car left is him, but I'd have to agree with you. I mean, the way that the attrition's going, Conklin is a really young driver, and a lot of times you get a young driver that's stupid fast. They can be a little mistake prone, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that out of Conklin at such a difficult track like Darlington. But I mean, just with the raw pace that he's had, he's really only had one challenger ever since Robert Miller and Nicholas Roman kind of got taken out of the running, and that's been Levine. But Levine hasn't found a way past him yet. So we're just going to have to see how both those guys do on long runs, because I still think we're going to get a decent 30, 40 lap run at some point. So it's just going to come down to that, once we get to it.
100%. Here comes the pace car down pit road. We're getting ready to see that green flag fly once again here. Of course, Sean Conklin going to be leading us there as he enters the Geico restart zone. And here it is, green flag back out here at Darlington. Conklin with a really good start. Of course, Levine, like you said, kind of at a disadvantage starting on that high side. He's going to get possibly challenged by Joshua Watson. Watson gets a little bit tight on the left rear. Luckily does not get into him. Looks like Levine is going to be able to hold on to second place. Daniel Nanny now up to fourth. Of course, you see Tyler Marble under fire from Wilhite. Wilhite has been trying desperately to get by Marble for a long time, as well as we see, I do believe, Michael McLean trying to get by Marble as well.
McLean got really tight on his left rear coming off that corner. I thought there was going to be contact, but they did a good job. Everybody keeping it clean. No harm, no foul, but man, a lot of Ryco cars up towards the front of this field showing their pace here late. Even whenever a couple of them get taken out, they got a couple more in the ranks just ready to fight up towards the front. But man, we got hard racing towards the back of the pack. We see Lawrence Shaughnessy way back there, and we're looking at Joshua Oshalem on the outside here. Oh man, just a little bit loose condition. That's right in front of Matt Hollabah and Lawrence Shaughnessy. I think that's Jason Wallet. He got a little loose coming out of the corner. Now he's hounding Shaughnessy going down into turn 3. Can Shaughnessy make that outside line work against him? Just keeps it out of the fence, it looks like, and he's going to be able to round the outside of turn number 4, maybe be able to get that position. Somebody else is hard into the fence in the background, and somebody else goes hard towards the inside. I can't tell if they actually hit it or not. It might have been Miller Bonds that went down to the inside wall. Can't quite tell. They just, shot across off the screen really, really quick. But man, they're all single file out from the lead all the way back to last place at this point.
Yeah, Bonds, of course, dropping like a rock. He's back to 27th position, definitely close to last. Is pretty much the only driver. There's 31 drivers that are still on the lead lap. Everybody behind 32nd. Here comes the challenge for the lead, I should say. Justin Levine to the inside of Conklin. Can he make the pass? This is going to open the door possibly for Joshua Watson and maybe Daniel Nanny. As here we go. I think Levine has realized, I don't know if I don't need to make this pass because he's going to have a train of cars waiting to try to take advantage if he does make the pass. Or if,
it's
if
he's not
able to do it.
It's just so hard to look to the inside of a driver like Sean Conklin whenever he's got the clean air going into turn number 1. I mean, it's just so tight going in that corner. You saw Levine had to lift because he just couldn't make the corner quite right without getting into Conklin. And he really made a hole that wasn't there right in front of Joshua Watson. I mean, it was just barely there. And he fit that car right into it, was able to slot back into the second place. And he's actually hounding Sean down the backstretch, coming up to his back bumper. Is he going to make a move going down to 3? No, he lets off just a little bit. Gets that clean air on his nose, going to the outside of turn 3 and 4. Sean slides up just a little bit, taking that air off of his nose, making sure Justin cannot get quite as good of a run coming out of 4. And Justin actually hits the wall just a little bit. That's going to let Joshua Watson kind of get up to his back bumper going down into turn number 1, but no move is made.
I really like what I'm seeing here for Conklin. He's really playing with the air. He's trying to dump air on that nose of Justin Levine. And I've heard it time and time again this week that if you do that, you can get that car tight. And it is something that a lot of these drivers don't they're not able to predict it. But still, though, Levine is still hounding the 4 of Sean Conklin as we still have this battle for the lead. Also, I do believe Michael McLean has caught up to the rear of Chris Wilhite. So the top 6 very close to one another here.
I really liked what I saw from Justin going down into turn 3 last time. He just had that left front corner of his race car under Sean Conklin the entire corner, able to get that clean air dump onto his nose. As long as you get that left front tire, we learned this from Briar LaPrade at Richmond in the post-race interview. What he was doing, he was just wrapping the bottom of 3 and 4, getting that left front tire out of the dirty air, like you see Levine doing there, all the way through 3 and 4. Conklin's leaving him just a little bit too much room, and Levine is finding it on the bottom to keep that car turning, keeping the fresh air on that left front fender, and just allowing that car to rotate through the center of the corner. Like I said, we learned that from Briar LaPrade a couple weeks ago, that it really, really works well on iRacing. It worked well at Richmond, and we're seeing it work really well here at Darlington, but Levine does fall just a little bit back coming out of turn number 2.
Well, and he is getting that little bit of clean air on his left front, like you said, but I don't know if it's going to last here. I think that eventually Levine is going to end up burning his tires up a little bit more than he probably wants to, and I think that's what Conklin's trying to push him to do right now, but it's definitely very close racing right now. A lot of give and take is going to start to, I think, wane. Does Levine maybe get a little bit frustrated with following Conklin? I'm definitely curious to see if that's going to be the case. I'm seeing, of course, the 6th place machine, McLean got really loose. I think a lot of these drivers are going to start to feel the effects of the tire wear, but still running some very good laps, 29 4s from the top 2.
Man, I really like Sean Conklin's line coming out of turn 2. I mean, what he's able to do, he gets just right up next to the wall, and he cuts down just a little early, and is just able to get a really straight run coming off the corner. We're going to see it here, I believe. He got, I mean, unbelievably close to that outside wall, and is able to get that car down to the bottom coming out of 2 so much easier than Levine behind him. Yeah, he's got the clean air. That does make a little bit of a difference to make it easier for him, but goodness gracious, the way he's got that thing packed up to the wall on the exit of 2, or in the middle of turn 2, and then cut it down on exit is just really, really phenomenal, and you got to know that he is having excellent throttle control to be able to get the car to do what he's wanting. But even so, Levine is hounding him every single time, going down to 1, just not able to make the move stick.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of patience from Conklin as well. I think that he knows that Levine's behind him, but he's running his own race. He's not really letting Levine dictate his pace, I think, and you know, just really showing a lot of maturity for that young man.
You see, again, though, he does push up a little bit in 3 and 4. I love his line in 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, it's a little tough. And now Justin Levine's going to get all the way side by side going into 1. This is his best opportunity that he's had so far. Oh, they get a little tight. Coming into turn number 2, Conklin edges ahead just a little bit, and that's going to kill Levine's run all the way down the back stretch, the Boeing super stretch. And Conklin's going to be able to get that lead back up to a healthy, you know, 1/10 of a second. I say healthy. I mean, they're still nose to tail, but he did, you know, do a really good defensive job there into turn number 1, into turn 2, and was just able to hold on to the lead. But man, Levine is just really, really hounding him just a little bit better than him through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing from Justin Levine. He's definitely, I think he's starting to get frustrated, though. I feel like that 11 machine is eventually going to get too frustrated. He's going to have that short track mentality come through and, you know, try to dive it in underneath him. And if he gets tight like that again, I would not be surprised if we see possibly, you know, an accident. And I'm also seeing that the 2 lap times from the first and second position are starting to die down. I mean, we're seeing the kind of an accordion effect, if you will. McLean's catching up quickly. He's running some really good laps. So I think that this could open the door for maybe someone else to take advantage and maybe try to go for the lead as well if these guys continue to battle like this.
Goodness, man. So to pass here, what's really important, especially passing the leader, you got to somehow find a way to get a better run off of 2 than them. And unfortunately, the way that Conklin is running 1 and 2, even if he's a little subpar in 3 and 4 compared to Levine, the way he's running 1 and 2 is just absolutely phenomenal every time. Levine's either going to have to be on his bottom exiting 2 or have a much better run coming off the corner because Conklin makes a mistake and is able to make a move into 3. You really have to try to put the car to the bottom entering turn 3 unless you just have a ridiculous amount of overlap going into turn 1. And Levine hasn't been able to get that done because Conklin gets such a run out of turn 2, lap after lap after lap. I mean, he is just dialed in on that end of the racetrack, and Levine is dialed in on the opposite end of the racetrack, which is probably not the one you wanted to be on. So it's just kind of tough for Levine to pass at this point. I think if roles were reversed, I think Conklin would have an easier time passing Levine.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very good point. It's just, I think that these guys have to pretty much be near perfect in their execution here. I mean, it's just so difficult to pass. There's just not any room for error, and it's really showing the skill level of both of these drivers, though, that they're not folding, that you know, pressure makes diamonds, or, you know, either bursts pipes or makes diamonds. And right now it's making diamonds between these 2 drivers. They're both not giving up. They're not making too many mistakes, but I think eventually they're going to reach their limit. Eventually, you know, Levine's going to want to make a better move or do something else here. I don't know. He's starting to get tight up to the wall. This is going to open the door for Watson. I think Watson has been saving his tires quite successfully here as well. I think he might make the pass, and he is clear at the moment, but Levine is going to get the run on the high side. But I think that Levine has been burning his tires up a little bit more than he should have.
Oh, absolutely. He's been really trying to get that race lead from Sean Conklin, trying to get that clean air. Now he's lost 2 positions in 1 lap to Joshua Watson and Daniel Nanny. 2 Ryko cars going in to make it a 1-2-3 right here for Ryko. Let's see if Joshua Watson can kind of hound Sean Conklin now. Like you mentioned, Watson was saving tires. He was not a part of that lead battle. He was just hounding there just a little bit. Man, Levine gets all over the back bumper of Nanny. But Watson was really not pushing his stuff. He was being very, very, you know, calm, collected, just kind of easing his way back into this now, and he's able to get that second place position. And now we can see, is he going to be able to run Conklin back down after being just a little bit further back, being in the 3rd place spot this whole time, saving tires? Can Watson make the move that Levine could not?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely, I think he might be able to, but then again, it just seems so difficult to make passes here. I just don't think that Conklin's really going to give it up. But then again, they are coming up on lap traffic, as Alan Pajari, I do believe, has lost a number of positions here. We're starting to see maybe some guys doing green flag stops, possibly.
I feel like it's a little early for that, don't you?
That was a pass on the racetrack. I think Pajari might have just had an issue. He falls back to 20th. So I'm just seeing a lot of movement back here, a lot of racing back here in the on the edge of 20th. Lawrence Shaughnessy right now side by side with Pajari. This could be where a caution possibly comes out. You see the 18, of course, Jacob Klein. A lot of these drivers are starting to struggle, I think, on tires. Pajari's last time by, 32.5. So something definitely happened with the 24.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Lawrence Shaughnessy right here is going to be really aggressive trying to get back through the field. I don't believe he took tires on that lap pit stop. I think he just fixed the damage, got that thing cleaned up. He didn't want to take that set of tires because it had only been like 8 laps on him, even though he had spun out. Could have wore off a little bit of their new, but he's done a good job kind of rebounding back up to the 20th place. If we get some tires on that machine, he might be able to work his way back up into the top 10. I could really see that from that driver. We know that he's got the race pace. Matt Hollabaugh, another one a little bit further up the field in 14th. We saw he was racing for the lead earlier, but he had to pit, ended up getting caught up in an accident later in the race. Unfortunate for him, but he's worked his way all the way back up to 15th, actually. Looking behind Richard Garcia here, a couple positions in front of them. Tyler Marble gives up a spot to Luis Salmasso, and now Jonathan Oshland's kind of hounding him for the same position.
Yeah, we saw Luis, of course, was up at the front earlier in this race. You know, had led some laps, was on old tires. Is on a little bit of a different tire strategy right now. On the edge of the top 10, as we're seeing a big race for this 11th, 12th, and 13th position as Jonathan Oshland, of course, he was involved in something earlier. He's now racing with Richard Garcia. Now, we know Garcia has top 5 level pace, so would not be surprised to see him making some more moves. But he's got quite a long way to go to get up there into the top 10. Drew Blaze, I do believe, is about 3.6 seconds out in front of Luis Salmasso.
Yeah, our top 10's done a good job kind of separating themselves from the rest of the field. And even on top of that, our top 4 is still within a second and a half within each other, and then you got a second and a half gap to 5th. So our top 4 is really just kind of, oh man, a little bit of an accident back in the back. Man, what a save that is. I can't quite tell who that is just off the front or right off the bat. Man, the 16 of Brandon Sox, what a crazy save coming off of turn number 2. He was so sideways, able to get that car righted. Tough thing to do in these next-gen cars.
Yeah, it is. A lot of times whenever it starts to go, it is gone pretty much. As Sean Conklin is starting to pull away on Joshua Watson. Now a second gap here. His last time by, he was about 2/10 faster. Now Daniel Nanny, though, is starting to put some pressure on Watson. Nanny is a driver that was involved in an accident earlier in this race. Of course, got it fixed, and that Ford's looking really good.
I'm not surprised to see Sean Conklin drive away from the rest of these guys at this point. I mean, good. Well, and the caution comes out, so all that gets nullified. He's going to have to deal with these guys one more time as we're coming to we got, 60 laps to go at this point. We're going to have to try to get a look at whatever this caution was. I can't quite find it just
David
yet.
Grantham, I do believe, had an issue here in the 12 machine.
Yep, coming out
I think he just had a spin. Not sure if it was by himself, but I know I saw him into the outside wall in 1 and 2. And you see Matt White. I think Matt White got right into the rear end. And look at that. Really awesome pace of maneuvers to get around that race car. Of course, that was not very a dramatic accident. I think a majority of the field is going to be making their way down pit road. I think now's a really good time. We'll go ahead and take a brief step away, and we'll be right back with some more racing action as we have going to be, I do believe, just under 60 laps to go here at Darlington.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision. Of course, we definitely appreciate you tuning in here to the NIS Top Split competition at Darlington Raceway. Of course, my name's Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom down behind, or in the booth with me, I should say. Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. Austin, I'm sorry that I compared you to our CTR producer.
I was about to say, I hope I'm not behind you. That's a little scary.
Oh, wow. But here we are, I do believe, with now less than 60 laps to go here at Darlington. This is when, do we see a long run to the end? What are these guys willing to do? I mean, we just saw pretty much everybody, I think, come down pit road.
I think, oh man, that's a good question. I mean, if a caution comes out, everybody will pit again, but I think that's the last time that we're going to see these guys pit if we run green at the end. So we're not going to have anybody else coming down pit road if we can get a green flag run, but something tells me we're not done with the cautions.
Kind of sad we didn't get to see green flag stops. That's kind of one thing I wanted to see here tonight, but just with the accidents we saw, just does not seem like that was in the cards. As we see pace car dip down pit road, Conklin going to be taking the green flag here in just a moment. Of course, he's got Joshua Watson up on the top side. Justin Levine kind of reshuffles the deck to try to see if he can't maybe do something different here. Good start there for Conklin. Michael McLean going to pretty much get Watson up to speed. Watson just not able to get going. It seems like that second place starter just is always at a big disadvantage as Levine takes back over second.
Yeah, Watson was trying to fight him back on the outside, not able to do it. Levine back in his second place. We can see if he can run Conklin back down. We saw Levine was really, really good on the short run. Fell off after about 30 laps. So we're just going to have to see if he can, get past Conklin earlier, right? Like if he can make the move earlier than what he was trying to in the past, I think that he could have a shot. But man, Sean Conklin has just been so good on the long run. So it's going to be tough to see that happening. But I do believe Levine has made some adjustments in that race car because he is flying at this point.
Also, Richard Garcia battling very hard with Drew Blaze right now. Moves up to that 9th place. I'm watching this 17. I think he's got the speed to make something happen. I do believe I just saw Michael McLean make a mistake, get into the outside wall. He is now going to lose a couple spots. Jose Acosta now up into the top 5. Him and McLean have been battling all race long.
My goodness, every time we look up, even whenever they find separation, they somehow find each other again. I mean, my goodness, Michael McLean and Jose Acosta. Man, they were racing for like 11th earlier. Now they both worked their way back up to fighting for the 5th place position. So hell of a job from both those drivers. I mean, for them to be battling this entire time and now finding themselves up into the top 5. Great job from both those guys. As actually Joshua Watson up front, looking into the inside of Justin Levine, not going to quite have it happen going down into turn number 3, and they're going to single file back out. But now Levine's trying to make a move on Conklin, but it's just not working out.
Yeah, I think he's having a tough time right now because, I mean, he's got so much pressure going on coming from the 6 machine of Watson So anytime he makes a move, Watson's going to be there to try to see if he can't take advantage of it. And I think that's the big deal. I like what I'm seeing from Will Height. Will Height's not really trying to pressure these guys. I think he realizes that, hey, I need to save my stuff. We still got a long way to go. But now he's going to be pressured as well from Jose Acosta. Acosta, of course, has been having some really good short run speed. We'll have to see how he's able to see what he's able to do here as Levine takes the higher side. He's going to try to get a good run off of turn 4. He is being hounded like crazy by Watson right now.
This is where Justin's got to make it happen, though. He's got to get a better run than Conklin coming off of turn number 2. Justin actually uses more of the racetrack in the middle of the corner, but not quite able to cut down quite as early as he wants to. Still going to get a run. Oh, man, Michael McLean just about on the outside wall, cuts it hard left. Going to lose another position here to Ryan Carwile. That's actually going to split up McLean and Acosta, thank goodness. But unfortunately for Michael McLean, it looks like he did make a little bit of contact with that right side into the outside wall. But no harm, no foul, still going straight, not too much damage, maybe just cosmetic. And behind him, Cody Richardson and Richard Garcia side by side going down into turn number 1. Both of them give plenty of room going down into the corner. Man, they're tight, though, through the center of the corner. Richard Garcia just about door rubs Cody Richardson on the outside. Both still giving enough space, making it work, coming off of turn number 2. And they're still side by side down the Boeing backstretch.
I think Garcia's got it, though. Garcia has been he has a really fast forward. I think he just got clear. Great job there for him. And I almost feel like Michael McLean, you know, you talked about it before, damage at this racetrack. When you hit that outside wall, a lot of times that causes the handling to go away. A lot of times you're more likely to have loose conditions or even a tight spell. As we see a replay here, the battle for second place. Watson able to take advantage of Levine. Watson just pretty much drafts right up to Conklin. I'm wondering if Levine maybe cut Watson a break. It's Watson getting really loose off of turn number 4. He's possibly going to challenge for the lead here.
Yeah, that was a power move from Watson on the outside of 4. He tried to do the same thing to Conklin on the next lap. Couldn't quite make it work, but man, he really uses all the racetrack out of 2. Actually gets really, really low coming off the corner. He's got a little bit of a run on Sean going down the back, but it stalls just a little bit as he gets to his back bumper. Not able to make it work. Oh man, he goes hard into the corner, gets in the back of Sean going into turn number 3. Just about sends him sideways going into the corner. Great job from Sean to hold on to that one. Watson's going to fall back into second, but now he's looking to the inside of Conklin going down the front stretch. Conklin throws a little bit of a block at the start-finish line, but Watson is there. He's side by side going down into 1. Oh man, a little bit of door contact. Joshua Watson gets sideways, going down onto the apron, saves it, but he's going to fall back behind Justin Levine, almost behind Chris Wilhite. Wilhite cuts him a little bit of a break, but Watson's still going to go back to 4th.
Oh, and then more contact. Jose Acosta into the 6th machine of Joshua Watson as we see a little bit of a stack up here. Carwile having to get out of the gas as well as Michael McLean. McLean tries to take advantage of Carwile. What a race this has been right now. Joshua Watson, Ryko on Ryko crime right now. You saw Watson was trying to do the same thing Levine did to get side by side with Conklin, but I just don't think he had near as much patience as Levine did. And this has kind of opened the door for Justin Levine. He has caught up to the back end of Conklin. His yellow flag is out on the racetrack. As Daniel Nanny involved in this, not sure exactly what happened. Nanny was up in the top 5 a little bit ago, but now finds himself outside of the top 20.
And that was the 33 of Junsa Lim also. I can't quite tell what happened. We're definitely going to have to get a replay on that one as we go to it here. Going to go down into turn number 1. Daniel Nanny's on the inside of Brian Young in the 22. Man, he just pinches him really high up the racetrack. Young gets onto the outside wall and then comes back down off the corner and gets back into Daniel Nanny. They both come down the racetrack, and oh man, Biller Bonds and Junsa Lim just have absolutely nowhere to go. Heartbreaking for both those drivers at the back of the pack. Just really nowhere to go whenever they stacked up in front of them.
And I'm wondering if maybe Nanny had a speeding penalty or something that put him back here. Because he was up in the top 10 a little bit ago, but look at this. This is just a dramatic wreck right here. And like you said, you know, Bonds nowhere to go. Just boom, right there. Just big hit. Takes off the hood of that race car as well. And that is just a heartbreaker for Miller Bonds. And a heartbreaker for Nanny. I mean, Nanny was up in the top 5 just a little bit ago. I mean, that's just shows you how quick your fortunes can go awry.
Yeah, and it's been a repeating, you know, problem here all time tonight. Like, anytime that somebody goes off strategy or has a speeding penalty or has something go wrong, you know, we saw with Nicholas Roman got off strategy a little bit and went to the back of the pack, instantly got caught up in a wreck, not of his doing. And then also we saw Matt Hollabaugh. He had a speeding penalty earlier after leading the race, went back to the back, got spun out. He's rebounded to 12th. And then we see it again there with Daniel Nanny. Probably got a speeding penalty, fell from the top 5 all the way to the back of the pack, and then just gets caught up in an accident. I mean, honestly, I think that he probably could have cut Brian Young a little bit more slack going into the corner. I think he pinched him up into the wall. And then obviously Young just bounced off the wall back down to the nanny. But unfortunately, if he doesn't get that speeding penalty, he's not put in that position anyway. So just pit road mistakes or going off cycle has really screwed over a couple of our really, really fast guys here. But somebody that takes huge advantage of that caution. I mean, we've seen the second place guy not get a good jump on these restarts. So I'm almost taking Levine out of the equation here. Is Chris Wilhite in third place. We have not seen him on the inside of the second row yet. We saw him running fourth that entire run right there, and he wasn't really making challenges on anybody. So I think that he was doing a good job of managing those tires, making sure they don't wear off. He could have something for Sean Conklin here going into turn number 3 if he can clear Levine going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think Wilhite has been a lot more patient as well. So we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do. I mean, there's also, drivers like Jose Acosta. He's aggressive. Richard Garcia, keep in mind, that 17, he is pretty much driven from the back to the front. So I would not be surprised to see that 17 come up here and possibly challenge for the lead as well. So it's definitely still a race. These guys, Conklin has not won this race. He's got to run the last 40-something laps here to make something happen. And who's to say that we don't see some more caution, some more off-the-wall strategy? But, man, it's just been quite an intense race for sure as we still – 40 laps. This is going to, for these drivers, it's going to be dragging right on by for these guys. I mean, Conklin, every lap's taking an eternity for him. He's like, man, can we just get this one done?
Yeah, no kidding. Conklin wants to see this race, get to its finish pretty quick. But, I say that I really do think he's going to get a challenge from either Levine or Wilhite here going down into turn number 3. I just think as long as they're not side by side coming out of 2, one of them's going to have a run on Conklin going down the back.
We're definitely going to find out here. Pace car has dipped down pit road, and here goes the green flag once again as we have 42 laps to go here at Darlington Raceway. Sean Conklin is going to have the lead going into turn 1. Here comes Wilhite, going to try to see if he can't possibly make something happen on Joshua Watson. Gets checked up a little bit. Now it's going to be under fire from Michael McLean. Also, we see Richard Garcia working on Ryan Carlisle.
Wilhite had a terrible restart. He just did not get going. That's not what I expected from the driver in third place. He's got the leader right in front of him, and he just did not time that right whatsoever. Did not get a good start, but someone who did, Justin Levine, he gets him the back bumper of Conklin coming off at turn number 4, and he's under fire from Joshua Watson himself. We've seen these guys run 1, 2, 3 just about all night. Levine tips that left front tire just below Conklin, entering the corner, trying to get some clean air in the middle, but unfortunately he just gets dirty aired in the middle of the corner, and Conklin gets such a good run off the corner as he has all night out of turn number 2. But Levine down into turn 3.
3 wide further back here. Ryan Carlisle into the outside wall. Richard Garcia barely able to get by. As we see Matt Hollenbach trying to work his way up to the top 10. We're seeing a lot of drama further back here just on the edge of the top 10. Wow. Lawrence Shaughnessy as well in 15th right now, trying to hold off Paul Bergoli. This is just a mess back here. Caution is out.
Towards the back going into turn number 2. At least 7 cars involved in this one, it looks like, going sideways, spinning into the front stretch, or on the exit of turn number 2. Lawrence Shaughnessy again. My goodness. Poor Lawrence Shaughnessy.
And also Miller Bonds involved in that one again. It just seems like that guy cannot avoid a crash. Wow. Just another wreck. And you see Shaughnessy broke. That car is broken, I would assume. It looks like it just seems like he cannot get that car to turn straight or stay straight. Wow. Just another accident here towards the end of the show. And what does everybody do now is we're going to take another look back at it, see exactly what happened here. See Tyler Marble, I do believe, side by side with Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy up into the outside wall. That was a very good miss there for Paul Bergoli, and everybody pretty much, you see, Shaughnessy did a couple 180s there, 360s in front of the field, and not a lot of drivers were able to avoid that crash.
Yeah, unfortunate for Lawrence there. He just got into turn 1 a little bit too hard. Honestly, I hate to see that for him. I know he's trying to make up a lot of the positions that he lost earlier from getting taken out in the top 10. But yeah, he just enters a little high and gets into the outside wall. Good job from Paul Bergoli, Alan Pajari to get by, but then a lot of these guys had nowhere to go. Shaughnessy got it off the racetrack, but unfortunately, you've got just the way that angular momentum works. Whenever you're spinning like that, you've got absolutely no choice but the car's going to go back up the racetrack in the center of the corner, and a lot of those guys just had nowhere to go.
Seeing a lot of drivers coming down pit road. This is kind of interesting. I saw Richard Garcia. He had made up a lot of positions. He actually came down pit road. Ryan Carwile as well. Cody Richardson, I do believe. Luis Salmaso. So a lot of drivers have decided that I think they're going to take tires and see if that's going to maybe give them somewhat of an edge. I kind of like this idea. We'll have to wait and see. If we see another caution, then maybe the other drivers are going to come down. I think we're at that stage now to where you're probably not going to be risking going back in traffic at this point.
So I agree, but what just happened is actually crazy. Only 10 cars stayed out. Our first car on tires is Drew Blaze and then Joshua Watson in 11th and 12th. And these guys, they didn't pit on the last pit stop, but before that caution, they had 12 laps on their tires at least. So that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, 12 laps isn't a ton of time, but at Darlington, it can add up, especially if this thing runs green. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Drew Blaze or a Joshua Watson work their way through this field and challenge our race leaders, Sean Conklin and Justin Levine, by the end of this.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot. Any other track, if we were at like a mile and a half, that doesn't sound like that would be substantial. But Darlington, I mean, it is a big deal. I think those guys are going to have a lot of maneuverability. But then again, you even mentioned it before. I mean, pitting and losing that track position, it's going to be difficult to be back in traffic. And also the times that we have seen tonight where guys have made a different call like that. Nicholas Vroman earlier in this race went back in traffic. Even though he had newer tires don't save you from getting in a crash.
Yeah, no kidding. If we see an accident for 5th or 6th place, which I hate to say this, but 4th and 5th are Michael McLean and Jose Acosta, and we've seen just how racy they get around each other. If an accident happens around there going into turn number 1, I mean, those guys that put on tires are going to have nowhere to go, like you mentioned. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get caught up in somebody else's accident, but if we can get that long green flag run, if we can go green to the finish, I would not be surprised to see Joshua Watson back up at the front of this racetrack and contending with Sean Conklin. I mean, I just think that the tires mean so much here. I don't think they put them on too early. I know a couple people put on their last set right there, but a lot of people had 2 sets left as well. So it's probably a little bit split decision between some of those guys. But again, if another caution comes out in, 20 laps, and a lot of the guys that didn't pit do pit, is that too late then? Because there'll be 15 guys that stay out, and they probably won't have enough time to get back up to the front of the pack. So this could really turn into a crazy strategy race where, like you said, the fastest guy left might not win the race. Sean Conklin might not win just purely off of tire strategy.
Man, I'm surprised to see some of these drivers still actually turning laps right now. Miller Bonds has been involved in a lot of the crashes tonight. He's still driving. That car still works. Somehow, I mean, that is just shocking to me as we see, of course, these guys entering turn 3 and 4. Pace car preparing to take that left turn down pit road. Sean Conklin, once again, going to be in control of the field. Can Levine do something this time around? We'll have to wait and see. What does a driver like Joshua Watson do? I really want to watch that 6 machine. I think that he's going to be one of the big movers. As the green flag is back out, Conklin up through the gears. He does secure the lead going into turn number 1. Will Height versus McLean right now for 3rd. And it looks like Will Height's going to just get clear, and he moves up to 3rd place. Also, Jose Acosta battling with Paul Bragoli. Side by side, further back in the pack as Joshua Watson restarted in 11th. He's now up to 9th, and there goes, I do believe that is Joshua Oshlam. Nope.
Drew Blaze, what a save. Oh, my goodness, what a save, Drew Blaze. Oh, no, he gets turned coming on the exit of 4. Oh, Blaze had it saved, but somebody else was on his inside, just couldn't hold on to it, and he goes into the outside wall. That was almost an incredible save for him to hold on to that thing. Oh, man, somebody else is spinning in the back under caution. I can't quite tell who that is. But further back, way after the caution, someone goes absolutely sliding. Still can't tell who that is off the nose of the race car. Brandon Sox. We need a replay on the wreck, and we need a replay on whatever the hell that was.
Yeah. Just wish we could get this thing to finish under green. It's just unfortunate that these guys keep having issues further back in the pack as we take another look back at this. And you see Drew Blaze is just being patient, got down. Unfortunately, though, Luis Salmaso was already underneath him, it looks like. And he did save it. I mean, Blaze saved it. But unfortunately, I don't know if he got back onto the gas, but he got some contact there with the 76, of course, cosmetically the 76. I'm not sure exactly who that is.
Well, I was talking about Joshua Watson and Drew Blaze. Unfortunately, one of them got taken out, but Joshua Watson did jump 2 positions on that start. He got a good restart and jumped a couple positions, and then the caution came out at a pretty good time. So he was able to make up a lot of spots there. A couple of guys that actually pit too in front of him. It looks like he's going to gain another, I believe, 2 positions as Jose Acosta and Grantham come down. Another car behind them, Pajari, but Watson had already passed him. So Watson is actually going to be on row 4. He's going to be on the inside of row 4, restarting 7th place on this restart with the newest tires. That caution could not have fallen more perfect for him. I don't know why all these guys pitted, to be honest. They're just giving up all their track position that they had worked so hard for. They needed to pit on the last one if they were going to pit. It's basically worthless pitting this time by. But hey, the main beneficiary, like I said, Joshua Watson, he is going to be flying on this restart.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a good chance at it, as we, of course, are now, I do believe, coming up to 31 laps to go. Do we see it go green from here? We'll have to wait and see. Of course, I think a lot of these drivers are getting a lot more antsy as we close in to the ending portions of this race. And give and take has started to be a thing of the past, for sure. As you see Watson moving back and forth, trying to get those tires warmed up. As like you said, he really did catch a good break there, up to 7th right now. And I don't think it's going to be too hard for him to work his way up to Conklin. I think you called it right. He, of course, is on a little bit newer tires by about 12 laps, I do believe. But that is curious to see why those guys did pit that last time. And they lost a lot more track position than Joshua Watson did when he made his call.
All righty. We're going to go into race picks. So,
yeah, I think our producer has told us to make picks.
Our producer picked last time and picked the Swifty machine, and somehow that freaking car came and won the race. So I'm going to make our producer pick first. So we're going to let him pick on the camera. He's going to find somebody that he's going to pick. We're going to let him go. He's just, I see his mouse on my end just kind of waving, just trying to find somebody. So he's making a hard pick. And he picks Michael McLean. He definitely just goes off of paint schemes. That is for certain. Our producer... And yeah, our producer's picking Michael McLean, the Great North Woods. That is actually a nice paint scheme on the side. That looks really, really good. So if he's just picking off a paint scheme, last week I don't like to pick, but he won. So this week I like to pick. So whatever. Maybe he'll win this time. Brian, who do you have?
That's a tough one, man. I mean, that is a tough one. I really want to say Richard Garcia, but he's so far back. I think he's got the speed. I'm just going to go with Levine. I think Levine, if he can be aggressive enough, maybe get Conklin off of his game.
It's a good pick. That's a good pick. I just, I said Conklin earlier was the driver to beat, and I still think that. I think he's the driver to beat, but because of the tire situation, something's telling me Joshua Watson, and maybe at this point it's not because I wrecked him earlier in the week. It's really just because he is on the freshest tires, and he's on row 4. He's got 10 to 15 lap fresher green flag tires anyway. More than that with caution laps, but that doesn't really count. So 10 to 15 laps under green flag conditions, fresher tires than our leaders, and he's only on row 4. I mean, if this thing runs green, it'll be a 29 lap run. Joshua Watson's going to win this race. So I'm going to pick Watson. I think we're going to have a green flag run at some point. I say Joshua Watson brings it home with a checkered flag.
Yeah, I think you might be right. You're onto something. I think that Watson definitely is a good pick. I definitely agree with you there. He's managed to survive a lot of chaos. He's also on a really good strategy right now. As, of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to go back green here with, I do believe, 29 laps to go here at Darlington Raceway. And it has been a gauntlet. 250 miles, and we're not at 250 miles yet. Of course, we're about, I think, at roughly 200 at the moment. It has been a long journey as Sean Conklin, though, is going to take the green once again. Can he get this thing done? He's dominated pretty much the entire race. As there it is, green flag back out in the air. Another classic restart there from Sean Conklin.
Oh, man, they don't make it the back. Cody Richardson gets into Jonathan Oshlam going down into turn 1. Oshlam comes back up the racetrack. Huge wreck going down into turn number 1. Multiple cars involved. Jose Costa's around. Drew Blaze is back in it. Jason Wallot. Daniel Nanny's managed to get through just a little bit there on the outside. He might have actually gotten some damage, but we had a parking lot going down into turn number 1.
I mean, these guys couldn't even get up to speed before something went wrong there. What in the heck just happened? I mean, goodness gracious.
It looked like Paul Bergoli did not get going on the start from, I think, the 5th place position. Joshua Watson took him 3 wide going into turn number 1. I don't believe Watson did anything wrong, but just somebody could not react to the checkup enough going down into the corner on the restart, and a huge stack up ensued.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to look back at that one here as we're going to take a look at the replay. We're seeing right here, I think you said Paul Bergoli just did not get going. As the green flag, I think, is out right then. Looks like, yeah, I think Bergoli definitely must have been in the wrong gear or something like that. And these guys were trying to take evasive maneuvers. You see the 11 of officers comes back up the racetrack and just creams everybody there. What happened? I mean, it seemed like the 22 of Brian Young as well didn't get going, but it pretty much all started with Paul Bergoli. That's kind of what started it all. That is interesting. I mean, it seemed like he got going, then maybe missed a gear, maybe?
Yep. Well, I think that you're absolutely right. We're going to check his RPMs here on the replay from the cockpit of Paul Bergoli in 5th place. Kind of the catalyst of this incident. We're just going to watch going through the gears, going through the restart zone right now. Oh man, he got into 3rd gear and it just tried to get into 3rd gear and it just redlined, couldn't get it going. And unfortunately, we see behind, Hollabaugh checked up for him right there and then gets clipped just barely by Oshlam as he comes up the racetrack into the left rear. Heartbreaking for Matt Hollabaugh and a lot of these other guys back towards the 10th to 15th place position, just taking a lot of guys back out of this race. But another guy that he gained another position, even though he didn't have to wear his tires out whatsoever. Joshua Watson has moved up another row. He's up into 6th place now, taking that nice outside line going into turn 1 and 2. So Joshua Watson, man, I told you, he's my race pick. He's moving up every single restart and not having to wear those tires out. So I'm still sticking with my race winner right here in Joshua Watson.
Man, what an accident. Richard, Richard Garcia, I was kind of leaning towards him, but I, of course, picked Justin Levine. He also got caught up in that. A lot of drivers that were moving through the field got majorly into that. That is just unfortunate, a heartbreaker. Brian Young fared well in that wreck. He's up to, I do believe, the top 5, so good on him. He didn't get going as good as well, but I think definitely Bergoli just takes the cake on that one. I mean, man, he's got to be kicking himself over that. I mean, he gets going on the initial green, then right there, just almost like he hit the brake almost, but of course, that was him not being able to shift. We looked at the cockpit camera, we saw the red line on the RPM pretty much just was not able to get up to the next gear. He has got to be kicking himself over that. I mean, I would just be wanting to cover my face over that one, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, no kidding. I mean, I hate it for Paul because I mean I've done similar stuff, and at the end of the day, you just kind of put your hands in your head or your head in your hands, and you're a little embarrassed, honestly. And Paul's not the kind of guy to make mistakes. I've talked about it. I believe it was the Richmond race that he's one of those guys that I say keeps his nose clean and stays in the top 10, like I mentioned about Hollabaugh today. But unfortunately, just a restart, just incident, and he's running 5th place. He's running great. Didn't have an incident all day, and then just misses a shift and causes that accident. And I know Paul, he's a great guy. He obviously wouldn't do anything crazy on purpose. And I mean, nobody misses a shift on purpose, especially running 5th. So unfortunate for Paul Bergoli, unfortunate for a lot of these guys that got caught up in that. But I don't know. I think we're gonna get a good run to the finish here at some point. I really do believe it. I just think our thinning out a little bit too much. Yeah, there's gonna be less give and more take, especially coming off of turn number 2. But I do think that we're gonna get at least a couple green flag laps in where some people can make some passes.
I hope so. That's for sure. I'm sure Sean Conklin or all these guys that are up front. I guarantee you they hope a green stays green. But then again, maybe not. I mean, maybe Conklin's probably thinking that hey, the more cautions we have, the less chance that Watson can get up to me. But we'll have to wait and see. But you're definitely looking at your screens right now. I mean, if you look at the field, there's a lot less drivers that are in this pack right now.
Yeah, there's not too many. There's a lot of guys coming around who had pitted, trying to get back up, caught to the field. But I mean, there's 15 cars that are stacked up right now that we know are good cars. So the field is definitely thinning out. But I think if I'm Conklin, I'm probably wanting a couple more cautions just to make sure that you can control the field on these restarts.
No, I think you're right. I think that this is kind of a little bit of a buffer for him. We'll have to wait and see how this kind of plays out as we're getting ready to have the green flag come out once again. As Conklin up through the gears. Not as good of a start there for him that time around. Justin Levine, very good restart for him. He's side by side into turn 1. everybody double file into one. You can see Levine, I think, might have the advantage here on the exit of 2.
Oh, Levine got a little tight coming off the corner, just couldn't hold it. But, man, he might be able to keep that right rear Conklin going down into turn 3. If he can stay there, he might be able to wrap that outside. Man, he just about gets put in the wall, but a caution further back in the racetrack as a couple people come spinning off of turn number 2.
Yet another caution, and Joshua Watson did not gain positions on that one. But, man, another caution flag. These guys have been definitely, I'd say, very aggressive at the moment. You can tell that every position is meaning so much to these drivers. They just want to, give and take is gone. I think that is the 100% facts right now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Kind of unfortunate because I really think we would get a hell of a race if we could just get this thing going. But I do want to talk about Conklin on that restart a little bit. That was his first bad restart of the whole night, and Levine was able to have the preferred line, just got a little tight on the exit of 2 and couldn't hold on to it. Maybe he'll learn better. We'll have to look at this replay real quick. We're looking at Richard Garcia here further back. Oh, man, Hollabaugh got the wall towards the back. Oh, and it was even further back that the accident happened. I mean, literally, those are all the cars that were single file on the restart, and somehow we have a wreck all the way back there. That's irritating as a race enthusiast to see everybody at the back of the pack get stacked up, and it wasn't even that big of a wreck. So, unfortunate to see something like that. I believe that was David Grantham that went around. He's on the outside, and they just stick it 3 wide on him. Or, sorry, he's on the middle. They stick it 3 wide right there. But, man, he just gets loose coming out of the corner. In all seriousness, I don't think anything else other than that. He just got loose. But, anyway, going back since that was...
caused the caution. I'm surprised that even caused the caution there. I mean, he corrected it.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. And he kept his speed. But either way, since that wreck was so minor, I really want to talk about the restart more. Sean Conklin, he's not doing good through 2, being able to get the lead back. But you got to think he went way later in the restart zone than he normally had, and that let the field stack up a little bit more, let Levine be able to time the restart a little bit better because he knew he was going to go so late. Like, after you get past like the halfway point of the restart zone, it becomes a little bit more predictable for the guy on the outside. He's able to hold your right rear quarter panel just a little bit more, and it's so important to be able to get into turn number 1, single file if you're the leader, because the outside line is honestly the preferred groove through 1, and if you get cleared before 2 or through the middle of 2, then the guy's gone, right? Like the guy in second place is taking your spot. So I really think that we're going to see Sean go a whole lot earlier in the restart zone this time. He had been doing it most of the night. I think he was just trying to catch Levine off guard a little bit there just to be different, but he's been doing so good whenever he's going early in the restart zone. I think he's going to adopt that back again, go back earlier in the restart zone. And I say that, and he's going to go in the very last 10% of it, but I really do believe he's going to make an adjustment off of that and decide to go a little bit earlier.
No, yeah, I think, that was Levine's probably best shot to possibly take the lead. And if he can try to predict Sean Conklin again, you see right there, Conklin went really late. And I think, like, you're right. I think that he was trying to catch him off guard. He went right, essentially, when the green flag flew. Look at this. I mean, this is the best chance that Levine had. He has such a good run. You can just tell that the air or something that was on that on the nose of Levine was making him tighter. So, I don't know. It just didn't seem like he had the handling to have the run on the exit of 2, but he definitely had it into 1 for sure. So we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to take that shot again. Will Conklin make that same mistake? But I think that Levine has discovered maybe a chink in the armor.
Yeah, for sure. And, I got to give it to Sean there. He really didn't let Levine turn down the racetrack exiting 2. He really held him up high as long as he could, but still kept it clean. I don't think they made any contact, but he still held him up the racetrack as absolute high as he could and just would not let him, turn down the racetrack. So I think that was really smart by Sean. He made a mistake on the restart zone, in my opinion, but he really made up for it in 2, just holding Levine as high up as he did on the racetrack as we get the pace car lights going out, and we're down to 1 to go for the restart, coming to 19 to go whenever we get it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. Do we get a green run to the end, at least a 19-lap race here to the end? I'm not sure what we'll see. Will Hype be able to make something happen? Michael McLean, and we see all these drivers. Watson, he's on the newer tires up here in the top 10. So definitely a lot of wiggle room here. Conklin has not won this race yet, but like you said, I think he still probably wants some more cautions. But we'll have to wait and see. Brian Young looking really good in the top 5. A lot of these drivers looking to put their names on the marquee here tonight. It's been a long race. I mean, especially to win at a track like Darlington. I mean, that's huge. You don't luck into wins here.
Yeah, especially in the SOF for the week in NIS. I mean, it means so much to all these guys, and you can see it with how hard they're driving, even for, you know, the last couple of positions on the track. It's getting really hard, and we're going to have to watch here on this restart. Does Sean Conklin go early? Does he go late?
And here we go. We're getting ready to find out. Green flag back out. Much better start for Conklin. Not as good of a start there for Levine. He's able to, though, secure second place going into turn one. Michael McLean, though, battling with Will Height for that third spot. McLean really coming in and I'd say impressing here late in this race. And it looks like Joshua Watson once again gains another spot. He is up to fifth. And I'm seeing Acosta battling with Luis Salmaso side by side. That is for eighth.
Yeah, great job for McLean there to clear for P3. And like I mentioned, Sean Conklin went literally as soon as he could. As soon as he got across that white line going across the racetrack, indicating the restart zone, he hit the gas pedal. He took off. He knew that he waited way too late on the last restart, and he took off, able to build a good gap. But Levine finally gets a good exit off of turn two, but he's just a little bit too far back to make use of it. Not really able to get to Conklin's bumper here just yet. But yeah, you mentioned Joshua Watson up to fifth place on about 10 lap fresher tires in terms of green flag usage. So we'll see if he can maybe run down a couple of these guys in front of him. But man, the two leaders have really stretched out their gap to the rest of the pack, and they are really running away.
Yeah, that they are. Interesting to see their lap times too. Very fast lap times. Some of the that actually was Justin Levine's fastest lap of the race. 29.072. These guys are on older tires than Watson and are running over a tenth faster than him right now. So this is kind of interesting to say the least. I think those guys really haven't been pushing it quite as hard until now. I think now is the time these guys are really starting to not be concerned with tire wear. They're just burning them up.
Yeah, we're coming to 16 to go, so it still doesn't matter. You can burn them up a little bit too early. You know, if they run really hard for these, next 10 laps, they will be dying for the 5 after that. So they do still have to keep it under them, make sure they don't go too far on the tires. But you also got to think, man, that just building up that gap is so enticing for these guys in the lead, especially because they know Joshua Watson is on newer tires. If Watson can get clear of Chris Wilhite and Michael McLean and get into third place, I gotta think that he would be a little bit faster than our two leaders at this point, but man, he's really just stuck in that traffic, and we got a big fight behind him. I believe that was the 22 of Young taking 6th place from Carlisle there, going down into turn number 1. Clears himself going into the corner, and now they're single file throughout the entire thing. Nothing kind of going on there, just single file, but Joshua Watson, look at that, going to the inside here of his Ryco teammate, Chris Wilhite, going down into turn number 3. They're side by side, going through the corner.
Can Watson get it done? He's got a long way to go, though. 2 seconds to get up there to the lead. He's got to get by Wilhite first and McLean. So this is going to be easier said than done. He's got quite the mountain to climb here, as he is going to get the better run off of turn 2. And Wilhite, I think, is going to get out of the gas to let him have it. Doesn't want to hold up his teammate. Brian Young, though, gets a really good run up to Wilhite. Now he's going to try to take advantage as well, as they're going to go side by side into 1 and 2. Or I should say 3 and 4, my fault. But still battling side by side. Brian Young gets a little bit tight on Wilhite. Young has to get out of the gas. And Ryan Carlisle takes advantage of it. And he's going to move up to 6th.
And they single file back out.
Also definitely doing good as well. I mean, we're seeing a lot of drivers that we did not think that had damage earlier in this race that are now coming up to the front.
Yeah, our gap for the two leaders is just holding steady around 0.3 of a second. Not really much between the two, but man, they are gapping the rest of the field. I really did not expect them to run away from everybody else quite like this, but man, whenever you see that big gaggle back there coming off of 4, saw a couple people side by side. It's not really too surprising to see it happen, but Joshua Watson now hounding Michael McLean, and this is huge for Watson. If he can get by him, he would start on that inside row right behind our race leader of Sean Conklin if we get another restart, and that could be huge. That could be all he needs to get that good jump. He's looking to the inside of McLean going into 3, but McLean drives it in deep, cuts off his nose, takes that clean air away from Joshua Watson, but Watson drives it in very hard into the outside, cuts it back in towards the inside of turn number 4, and he's going to get the draft all the way down the front stretch, but he's just not going to be close enough to make a move going down into turn number 1.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at the lap times we're seeing from 1st and 2nd place. I mean, they're about 0.4 faster than the rest of the field right now. So they're definitely, I almost feel like there might even be somewhat more working together than really battling each other. And I think Levine is somewhat resigned himself to possibly finishing in the 2nd place position, or he is backing off right now. So maybe he is saving as well. But the lap time, like I said, they are much faster than the rest of the field. And Watson has got to be seeing that his chances are slipping away. As here comes Richard Garcia trying to take over 8th place as he's battling. He's foot right into the outside wall. And that is going to bring the caution out with now 10 to go. Wow, that's probably going to put us at a 6-lap shootout. As look at that, big hit, front end into the wall as he was trying to get by Salamasso. And he is, of course, has not got back going yet. I think that car, yeah, he's going to take a tow. I think that's it for Richard Garcia. What a fast race car he's had here. You see, Salamasso was kind of throwing some blocks here as they enter turn 1, but Garcia had sent it in and slid up, and unfortunately got turned. I do think that was more on Garcia, though, considering he just pretty much threw a big send.
Yeah, he just drove it in so deep into the corner, and maybe you could argue Salmasso should have been higher, but at the end of the day, they're not really to the middle of the corner where you do get all the way up by the wall, so I wouldn't really put that on Salmasso that much. I just think that Garcia, I mean, you see, yeah, he just came up way too early, in my opinion. Whenever you're side by side, you got to leave a little bit more room than that, and I would have to put that more on the driver of the 17.
No, yeah, I agree totally. I think the 17 just threw it in there. And you know, Samasso definitely was blocking in the straightaway. But, I mean, you know, that's not as egregious. I mean, he went up the racetrack, you know, on the entrance to the corner and you know, gave, you know, Garcia the room. And Garcia just, I think, just drove it in way too deep, unfortunately. We do see, I do believe, Daniel Nanny coming down pit road here. This is kind of interesting. He had made his way back up into the top 10. As well as you see Garcia, of course, Levine as well deciding to come down pit. What is going on here?
I think it's too late to do this. In all seriousness, I mean, you're too far back, right? Levine's going to be restarting 17th as he comes off pit road. I think that he knew he didn't have anything for Sean. Sean was just a little bit faster than Justin. But ultimately, I think Levine would need 15, 20 laps to make this work. I just think it's too late. He might find his way back into the top 10, but that's pushing it. It's just too late for this to really work, in my opinion.
And I'm wondering why he would have come. What would make him come down? I mean, was he struggling that much? I mean, lap time wise, him and Conklin were running some really good laps. Now, this is really giving a huge opportunity, though, to Joshua Watson. I mean, of course, Conklin and Levine were running really, really hard. Watson was kind of being held up by McLean, and I think as a result, I think he was saving his tires in some regards. So I think Watson is really going to have the advantage here if he can really nail this restart.
If he can stay on Conklin's bumper whenever Conklin hits the gas, he'll be good because he'll be able to clear McLean through 1 and 2, and then should be able to use those 10-lap fresher tires to his advantage. And we know how hard Sean was pushing because he was, you know, they pulled out a 3-second gap to the rest of the guys, except for Levine, because they were both pushing so hard. But, you know, I've talked to Levine, and, you know, months ago he had mentioned to me that, you know, he was going through kind of a DGAF tour, and it was either win or wreck. And I think that he knew that there was no way in hell he was beating Sean Conklin, who has the control of these restarts. So I just think that he was thinking, you know what, I put on tires and maybe it falls my way because, like I said, on even tires, Conklin just has the field beat at this point. So Levine's just trying to get himself off strategy, but like I said, I think it's just a little bit too late. Only 5 laps to go on the restart, I believe. That's just not going to be enough time.
Yeah, I think points-wise, I would have resigned myself to finishing in second. I think he could have easily had a top 3 podium finish, but I think he just kind of threw that away. I think that he definitely just threw that away. But we'll see. I mean, maybe something goes his way. I mean, we do have 3 possible green-white checkers here that we could possibly see utilized. As we see, the pace car lights have gone out. I do believe we're going to have a 5-lap shootout. I said 6 earlier, so it's actually going to be 5. Do we make it to the white flag? I think that's going to be a big solid question. Does Conklin give? I know a lot of times when you're on the same team, you give your teammate the count them off to when you're going to start. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think Watson, they're kind of almost on different teams, considering I'm sure Conklin wants to win this race.
And I think he knows that Watson's got the tire advantage. So if he gives him a countdown and lets him go into P2 by himself, I mean, that would just kill Conklin's race, in my opinion. So, no, I don't think Conklin's going to give him a countdown. I know I wouldn't give him a countdown at this point. I mean, I know that McLean is not on Ryko, so maybe you would think that Conklin would want Watson to finish second. But, hey, if Watson can just be side-by-side with McLean going all the way through 1 and 2, that could give Conklin the room he needs to win the race.
Here we go. Pace car has dipped down pit road. And Sean Conklin, can he win this race? We're getting ready to find out as the green flag is back out in the air. Watson, good start. Conklin able to secure the lead going into turn 1. Wilhite pushing McLean. And I think Watson is going to get second place secured. He slides up in front of Michael McLean. We see Ryan Carwile racing Wilhite very hard right now, as well as Salmaso.
Watson needed that so bad. He needed to get single filed out. He needed to get into second place as soon as possible. Now he just needs this thing to run green so he can maybe run Conklin down. But man, Conklin is still flying through 3 and 4, even with Watson being on a little bit fresher tires. Oh man, trouble towards the back of the pack. Somebody sideways down to the inside wall, but he saves it. No caution's going to come out off of that. And they're still racing, going down into turn number 1. Levine's made up a handful of positions. I believe he's up into about the 13th position. But man, they are just racing hard all the way throughout the field. And a caution finally does come out in the middle of turns 2.
I do believe that is involving Joshua Oshlem, the 10 machine, of course, cosmetically the 11. As we are going to utilize our first green-white checkered of the evening. And it looks like you see Levine made a big move, and that kind of checked up, I do believe, and kind of led to, I'd say, a domino effect of Oshlem getting hit from the rear end. I mean, of course, not really, I'd say, Levine's fault, but he kind of made a huge move, was trying to make a move to get a position there. We see right there, 3 wide, that Levine had made this move. Wow.
Yeah, he definitely checked up the field there just a little bit. I don't know. I mean, the 22 tries to stay off of Tyler Marble there on the outside, but Oshlem checked up just a little bit more than maybe he had to, and then the guys behind him just couldn't really react. I mean, hard to put that on Oshlem. I can't put that on Oshlem at all. I mean, he's checking up for the guys in front of him. But, I mean, like you said, just kind of a chain reaction, domino effect. Somebody checks up the pack in front, making a crazy move down to the bottom of 1. And just a guy a couple rows back ends up catching the worst of it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for sure. I mean, just like I said, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Justin Levine's fault. He just kind of primed, I'd say, the atmosphere for something like that to happen. He put the water down. He's not the one that electrocuted everybody. You know?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, he definitely set it there. It was almost like he was setting a trap, right? You know, you set those little Fortnite boxes up and you put the little trap on the top and you just kind of lure somebody in. That's kind of what he did there. He just kind of built himself a little box going into turn number 1, and Oshlem just kind of walked right into the house and got stabbed.
Oh, Lord. I
That
wonder
was a
what's going to
weird-
happen here, though. I wonder Joshua Watson, you know, this is going to be all about the restart here. And I think Conklin's just been doing such a fantastic job.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to this. I just don't think Watson can get the restart that he needs on Conklin.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Conklin's been so good on old tires too. He's been flying.
That's the thing. I can't believe he's kept it so quick, even after pulling away from the field that one start and running 12 laps clean. I'm shocked. I'm really impressed with Sean Conklin. You know, I was talking about earlier about his turn number 2, just how dominant he was through that corner. I mean, it just looked way better than anybody else's in the field, especially after Vroman got taken out. But, you know, we did see Conklin did have a chink in the armor on one of the restarts. If Watson can hold his outside like Levine did the one restart, then Watson has an opportunity. He could beat Conklin. But I think the only way that that's going to happen is if Watson just jumps the restart and guesses that Conklin goes at the beginning of the restart zone, right? Because obviously Conklin, every time he's gone at the beginning of the restart zone, it has been really, really good. He's gotten a big jump, gotten the lead outright going down into turn number 1. But the one time he didn't was whenever Levine was able to hold his outside. So I'm thinking Conklin's going to go at the beginning. So if I'm Watson, right, if I'm thinking I'm just racing for the win, I'm jumping as soon as I get in the restart zone. If I get a black flag, I get a black flag. But I know he's running for points, man. He's in the top 4 of the point standings. I think he'll take the P2 and be happy with it, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on the restart.
Yeah, I don't think I'd risk it all like that. I think that, you know, points-wise, I not risking getting a black flag. Now, if I was like if I was outside the points, yeah, I would probably think about, you know, winning would be really cool. I mean, because we know that Joshua Watson has had, you know, a lot of bad luck. He's been, you know, on the wrong end of a lot of deals. So we'll have to wait and see how this kind of all plays out. Pace car light should be going out here very shortly. But I think Conklin's in a good spot right here. I think that only thing that Watson can do is try to predict when he goes, and it's gonna be hairy to do that. I mean, he's gonna really have to watch that 54, or should I say the 4 of Conklin. This is, I think this is his race to lose. Now, something could still go wrong, though. I mean, Conklin could easily hit the wall in turn 2. We've seen drivers do it before, especially here at this track. I mean, you could dominate a race, but you got to be able to actually finish and go across the line. I mean, especially when you're in a green-white checkered scenario, there's a lot of pressure on that 4 machine right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of pressure, but he's been under pressure all race, and he has not put a foot wrong the entire time. I mean, he has just held that car perfect through every corner. He's looked so good through turn 2, and you mentioned maybe tagging the wall in turn 2, but, man, he's just been so good through there. I just don't see it happening.
Well, here comes the pace cars down pit road as we get ready to start green-white checker number 1 as we're looking on board from Joshua Watson. And there it is. Green flag is out. Conklin with a good start. Michael McLean with a really good start. He's going to possibly challenge for second place here. But it looks like Watson is going to secure second through the middle of 1 and 2. Carwile trying to make something happen for possibly fourth as he's side by side with Will Height. Do we take the white flag is truly the question as we get ready to exit turn number 4. Will Height and Carwile very close to one another. But I think the white flag is going to fly here at Darlington. Next flag is going to end it as they're wrecking across the start-finish line further back. But Conklin exits turn 2. He's got about a 4/10 of a second gap. Big hit on the wall from Joshua Watson. And that's going to pretty much all but close the deal, I do believe. That was a hard link for Watson. Watson could even possibly lose second as a result. But Sean Conklin exits turn 4 and crosses the start-finish line with the car sideways. And Conklin will win this race. Big pileup across the start-finish line right now. It's going to affect running order, I do believe.
My goodness, huge wreck coming off of turn number 4. I mean, that's going to shake up a lot of the running order for sure. But Sean Conklin coming through and winning. I mean, he dominated this race. He led so much of the back half. After a favorite of Nicholas Vroman got taken out, Sean Conklin assumed the mantle. He had a bunch of nose damage that he got fixed up really early in this race, able to drive all the way back through the field and win the event. What an absolutely amazing drive from Sean Conklin to get this thing finished off. As we look at a replay of the wreck coming off of 4, we see a couple drivers racing hard going down into turn number 3. Oh, man, the 14 just gets a little checked up going to the corner, gets tagged by the 9, no give there by the 9, and he gets just a little loose coming off the corner and overcorrects down into the outside. Jose Acosta gets into the back of him. He gets into Cody Richardson, and we just had a huge pileup coming to the start-finish line that just about nobody could avoid, and that really shook up our running order here towards the end.
That it did, but of course it did not shake up Sean Conklin as he's doing a burnout right now on the front stretch. He is going to tame the lady in black here, just like you said, did not put a tire wrong. Utilized the clean air. He showed that he was pretty much right on par with Vroman earlier in this race. And definitely, I think even if Vroman hadn't got caught up in that, I think he would have still been in contention for the win, and he definitely showed it. But now, I do believe now is the time we go through our final running order here. And, of course, that will start with Sean Conklin, your winner. Joshua Watson, of course, comes home in second place. Very impressive run for him as well. Michael McLean with an impressive third place. Chris Wilhite, fourth. Ryan Carwile, fifth place. Justin Levine works his way back up to sixth. Seventh place, Cody Richardson. Eighth place, Drew Blaze. Ninth, Alan Pajari. And 10th, Jacob Klein.
11th is John Sulim. 12th, Jason Wallet. 13th, Brian Young. 14th, Michelle Battison. 15th, Daniel Nanny. 16th, Lawrence Shaughnessy Jr. 17th, Ronnie Kuritz. 18th, Ty Ippolito. 19th, Jonathan Oshlam. And 20th, Matt Hollabaugh.
Jose Acosta, 21st. David Grantham in 22nd. Luis Salmaso, of course, in 22nd, I should say. Tyler Marble, 23rd. David Grantham is actually in 24th. Hunter Wooford in 25th. Richard Garcia, 26th. Adam Matz, 27th. Miller Bonds, 28th. Paul Margoli, 29th. And Brandon Sox is in 30th. Of course, Matt White, 31st. Robert Miller, 32nd. Maggie McGuire, 33rd. 34th, Brandon Schmidt, and 35th, unfortunately, Nicholas Vroman, who started at the front of the field. With that, we're going to take a brief step away, pay our sponsors one more commercial break, I should say. You've been messing up talking all night. I'm going to start messing up now. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to GridVision, as we are going to be starting our post-race show where we'll be talking to our top 2 finishers, of course, at Darlington. What a race there for Joshua Watson. Of course, Austin Edstrom standing by.
Hey, Josh, a really good event from you there today, coming home P2. You know, you were on newer tires there at the end. Did you think you had anything for Sean Conklin, you know, towards the end where he had a little bit older tires than you?
It was a toss-up as late as we pitted as far as trying to come back up through the field. If we could have got around some of those guys without as much trouble, I think we'd have been all right, but I think we burned them up trying to really battle and get around some of those guys. Probably could have been a little more patient, but you know, had to try something different where I didn't feel like we were going to beat them straight up early on. So had to try a little different strategy, and it almost worked out. Just so hard to restart on that second lane. You get such a big jump that just weren't able to keep up with them.
Yeah, I felt like maybe if you could have gotten a better restart, which we only had one guy challenge one time on the entire race of him on the outside on the restart. So I just, it was going to be so difficult to do it. But I felt like maybe if you could have the clean air through 1 and 2, you could maybe do something about it. But just the dirty air through the exit 2 probably made it really difficult to stay close to him. But, you know, I did have you as my race winning pick. Maybe that was a little bit because I took you out of an A Open earlier this week and I felt bad. But regardless, I did have you as my race pick, and I thought I was going to be right there for a second. So I'm a little upset. But, you know, I believe you were in an accident earlier in the event and still able to come back and get a good, strong P2. So can you just kind of walk us through kind of the whole race? It seemed to just be a caution fest. How did you end up, you know, working your way back up through the field?
Yeah, we were kind of planning on the long runs. Didn't have the strongest qualifying effort there, but the plan was just to ride, try to avoid some of the stuff. We did get like 25 seconds worth of damage, you know, one wreck, and then I think we got a little bit more when Paul stuck in neutral there. So I think ultimately, I really think that's what hurt us at the end was the nose damage. But yeah, just trying to stay conservative, not really kill our tires, was really hoping for a long green flag run. I've been hit or miss here this week. Won a race in a Open, ran good. Just looking for a good solid points night. Wednesday we got wrecked out, running third under a green white checkered. So it was nice to come back in P2 and gain some valuable points. Don't think we're gonna catch the top 3, but to be top 5 in the points is really awesome, and hopefully we can stay there.
Yeah, top 5 in a NIS Open season is nothing to scoff at, that's for sure. But yeah, like you said, just a really good run, and you know, to back up a good run that you had Wednesday, even though you got taken out, nice to kind of bounce back and be able to really show your stuff and be able to get P2 here tonight. Is there any shout outs that we can get from you here at the last little bit of this interview?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Ryko. They've been awesome week in and week out. Like I said, I struggled this week a little bit. It wasn't due to the setup, just due to driver errors at times, but I'd like to thank them, JBR eRacing, the team I co-own with my brother, my teammates. We've done a lot of testing offline as far as working on this car and trying to get it right. So I'd like to thank those guys for helping me out and pushing me. My brother tonight, crew chief for me, DSD button boxes, Team Hoyt, and all my friends and family that support me through this. My girlfriend who stays up late to watch our baby so I can do this. So I'd like to thank her and you guys for the broadcast.
Well, thank you for the shout out. We appreciate it. And I know that driver error isn't all of just your driver error. I know it was definitely other drivers' errors too this week, kind of holding you back from experience. But thank you for coming up and putting on a good show today and coming up to talk to us.
Thank you.
All right, that was Joshua Watson. I believe we're going to pull in our third place finisher. We found him in the Discord, Michael McLean. I believe he's standing by with Brian Britt.
Yes, sir. Michael, definitely fantastic run there for you. You started in 24th place. I think you were one of the biggest movers out there. You know, walk us through how hard it was to survive this wreck-fest full race here at Darlington.
Yeah, I got in a wreck pretty early there. I think I got hit about 30 times, and I only had maybe 30 seconds of damage. And tried to keep it clean for the rest of the race. The last 100 laps, I had 1X to give, and I just kept it clean the rest of the race. Had some teammates up front that raced me nice and clean and brought it home third.
Yeah, definitely has not been a race, I'd say, for incident points. Yeah, SR, I should say. I'm sure a lot of drivers are might be getting kicked down to B class here after this one, but still a great job to you to come home in third, and being even the number 30 car, so you probably gained quite a bit in iRating as well. And if something had went wrong, you could have found yourself up in victory lane. But great job to you, Michael. I mean, what does this do for your confidence?
Oh, it's a huge confidence boost. First race with a brand new wheel, the Magic Alpha Mini, and I just want to thank Ryko for the setups they put out, and Ken Byron. And
all right, well, anybody else you want to shout out?
just want to say hi to my mom. She's in the hospital.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely our hearts are out with her, and hopefully everything works out there with her. We'll definitely keep her in our thoughts.
Thank you.
All right, Michael McLean, we appreciate you talking to us. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hopefully.
Alrighty, that was Michael McLean, driver of the 30 machine here tonight. Finished in that third place position. Definitely a really good run for him. Next up, we have Sean Conklin. But just for the sake of, I don't like to interview two people in a row. I'm going to give this to Austin Estrom.
Oh, how kind of you. So sweet from the lead commentator. But Sean, I told Watson he was my race pick in the middle because we make picks very, very late in the race just to kind of see. And I knew he was on new tires. So I was like, all right, he's got to come through the field. But I had you pick before that. I was like, Sean's going to be the guy after you got that nose damage fixed in the first wreck. And I still thought you were going to be up there. I just thought the new tires were going to get you. But, man, you were just so freaking fast even on the old tires. You and Levine just absolutely pulled away from the field that one run. What were you able to do that other guys were not that just kept you so quick even on the older tires?
Throughout this whole week, I have been struggling really, really bad. And each and every single time, it's always been because of tires. So I just kept racing, kept looking at telemetry, kept looking at what other guys are doing that are saving tires better than me, and we just kept learning and learning throughout the week, and it really paid off here. I think this is definitely one of my best performances of the week, tire saving wise. But yeah, I just have to give a huge shout out to everybody at Ryko, and I don't know, we have been on a roll this week, and it took me some time to figure out, and yeah, it was definitely a very fun race. The cautions kind of helped me and also didn't help me at the same time. I mean, it was nice for track position, but it also kind of got me out of my rhythm, and yeah, it was kind of struggling to get back into the rhythm there at the end, but it was a fun race overall.
Yeah, mostly your restarts almost the entire time were super, super good. You were going early in the restart zone most of the time. There was one time, though, that you waited until the very last moment with probably 50 laps to go. Levine was on your outside, and y'all were side by side through 1 and 2 all the way through, and you were just able to edge him out for the lead. Did you kind of learn from that restart to know, like, hey, I don't need to go so late in these restart zones, and kind of pick and choose where you went better throughout the rest of the event? Because I think your restarts after then were absolutely perfect. You were able to clear the outside guy going into turn 1 every time.
Yeah, I most definitely did. I tried going a little bit later because I felt like he was catching on to what I was doing. So I was like, all right, let's try to back it up, go a little bit later. And then he caught on to what I was doing anyway, so it didn't even matter. So then I was like, all right, we'll go back to going early. And yeah, the restarts were perfect each and every time. It's really hard to time it right as a second place car, because I've been a second place car a lot this week, and it is very difficult to time it right, especially when you go early. There's no real way to time it right. So I had that in the back of my head, and that helped a lot on the restarts.
Fair enough. Well, I was pointing out Major in the broadcast that you through turn 2 were absolutely phenomenal. Like, you were using all the racetrack before you got to the entry of 2, just all the way up against the wall, and then you were just able to cut it down so easily and swiftly down to the bottom of the racetrack and get a nice straight run off. What were you doing in turn 2 that you think was different than everybody else that just kind of gave you the edge?
Center speed. It's all about center speed in turns 1 and 2. If you're rolling too fast in the center of 1 and 2, you're gonna go wash up right to the wall. If you back it down a lot in the center, you can go as hard as you want entering the corner, but if you back it down in the center, then you can turn perfectly off the corner, and that was a huge advantage that I've learned throughout the week.
Well, I'm glad that you could share some tips for me. I might have to use those a little bit this weekend. That's pretty good to know, just building my memory bank a little bit. So that's I appreciate that. But do you have any other shout outs for us this tonight after your dominating performance here?
Just Ryko again, just like some of the best setups you can get on the market, and we work so hard each and every week, and Ken puts so much time into these setups, so we as the drivers can do good performances like this, and it all pays off in the end. And Conklin Creations for the paint scheme again. Gotta shout that out, just like Watkins Glen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just huge shout out to Ryko and Ken, everybody over at Ryko.
Well, congratulations one more time. I mean, to win a Friday night NIS Open, especially at Darlington, one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, got to be a big confidence boost for you, and you've been running so good anyway recently. I mean, I'm sure you're just enjoying the fruits of your labor at this point, putting in so much work. So big congratulations from everybody up here in the booth, and I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be talking to you this year.
No, I will definitely be back next week.
Sounds good. Well, that was Sean Conklin, our race winner. Again, big congratulations to him for pulling it through, and I'll throw it back over to Brian Britt.
Alrighty, definitely congratulations to our top 3 finishers. I do believe we're going to be taking a look at the schedule as we have just concluded our race here at Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame. Of course, we have a very full schedule coming up this week. I do believe we don't have really anything going on tomorrow night or Sunday, so everybody make sure you have a happy Labor Day weekend. But of course, we're going to be getting right back into the action on Wednesday. Michigan, going to be an awesome race. I love that racetrack, and we're, I do believe, at the second to the last race in the Thunderclap iRacing Series presented by TLC's season. So we're going to be crowning the champion very soon. Of course, this last race is going to settle who's going to be in the Final Four, or should I say Lightning Four. Make sure you tune in at 8:30. Friday, of course, going to be NIS competition again at Kansas Speedway, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got to say, I hope it doesn't have as many cautions as tonight did. But, man, it still was an exciting race for sure. Didn't know who was going to win. Of course, Saturday, Majors competition. That is going to be at Crandon, of course, 9 p.m. And the Jumpy trucks, or pro trucks, I should say, the off-road trucks. Of course, Sunday, we're going to have a doubleheader, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Global Racing Truck Series is going to be at Kansas, and later that night, 9 p.m., I do believe we're going to be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and so that's going to be a new league. I do believe it's RGR, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, going to be in the Cup Series, finishing up their season, and we're going to be starting up a new season for them, I do believe, in the following week. But with that, I do believe that brings us to the conclusion of tonight's broadcast. Of course, congratulations once again to Sean Conklin for such a dominant performance. Definitely was the fastest car on the racetrack. So definitely appreciate him, coming up here and talking to us. We got to talk to all 3 of our podium positions. We want to keep that trend going for sure. Hopefully that'll be the same thing at Kansas. Of course, thanks to everybody as well that tuned in. I want to thank my co-commentator, Austin Edstrom, for the amazing job that he always does. Of course, our C tier, I think, has made it up to probably A tier. I always say he's an A tier. Austin Derbyshire, big thanks to him. And, of course, everybody else that is involved with GridVision that makes all this happen. My name is Brian Britt. We'll see you next time.